Chapter 1684. What was a strong person? When Wang Lin was young, he didn't understand. He only knew that if the neighbor's child was stronger than him, then he was a strong person. What was responsibility? Wang Lin had cultivated for more than 2,000 years, but only a few years ago did he truly understand the weight of responsibility. The Lord of the Sealed Realm was a strong person and also a person of responsibility. This title didn't accompany Wang Lin for long, but it pushed Wang Lin toward a true sense of maturity as a cultivator. This kind of maturity was a kind of comprehension of the mind and a process of strengthening oneself. Only a strong person who understood responsibility was a real strong person. Perhaps this was a bit empty. In Wang Lin's opinion, the strongest person was his father. His father was only a mortal, but to the young Wang Lin, his father was strong. At the same time, his father carried the burden of the family. This was responsibility. This was a mountain-like figure that sheltered him and his mother from the wind and rain. If the father was there, then the family was there. This was a strong person. Wang Lin had cultivated for more than 2,000 years. At this moment, he slowly comprehended a lot of things from his father's figure. The matters of the world were often like this. From the small to the big, there were the micro and the macro. He had guarded the inner realm for 3 years, formed the new celestial realm, and killed countless people. His hands were covered in blood, but Wang Lin wouldn't look back. He couldn't look back, he could only continue to move forward. Either he would smash his head and die, or he would smash his head into something earth-shattering. The road of the future was under his feet step by step. His white figure was like a willow leaf floating among the stars. He had no roots but wasn't confused. He fluttered as if he was looking for something. In the end, he was devoured by the stars and disappeared without a trace. Outside the Cloud Sea star system wheel formation, Wang Lin's original body was walking. On the last 3 days of the 3rd year, he slowly opened his cold eyes. He turned around and looked at the inner realm. At the end of his gaze, Wang Lin's avatar walked over. Each step didn't cause any ripples or rumbles, but each step was extremely heavy. It wasn't until Wang Lin's avatar arrived and stood next to his original body that they both looked at the inner realm. This scene was like a picture. If it could be preserved forever, it would become a treasure passed down for generations. In the picture, the stars were the background and the wheel formation was the color. The two identical faces, one sitting and one standing, looked at each other. After a long time, Wang Lin's avatar turned around and walked toward his original body. There was a flash of gentle light and Wang Lin's avatar fused with his original body. Popping sounds echoed and Wang Lin's white hair scattered. He stood up and withdrew his gaze from the outer realm. His cold gaze landed on planet Taiji. In the last 3 days, the 4 generals of the ancient celestial realm will descend. A final secret will be revealed in this cave world. Unfortunately, even now I still don't know what the 3rd one is. Wang Lin silently pondered. But no matter what, this final battle will be very interesting. The 7-colored Taoist, Old Devil Zhan, and the 4 generals that will awaken the celestial sovereign. Finally, the group of immortal astral continent cultivators that came out from the passage to the wind celestial realm. Before that, let me open the curtain of chaos for this final battle. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly and he stepped out from the wheel formation toward the ancient star system. Destroy the outer realm's ancient celestial realm. Killing intent appeared between Wang Lin's brows. As he stepped into the ancient star system, he released his full cultivation and charged forward. He didn't hide his aura or figure. He directly told the entire outer realm that he, Wang Lin, had arrived. The star system rumbled. As Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, the powerful cultivators of the tribes on planet Taiji awakened. No matter what they were doing, they all looked up at the star system. They could clearly feel a shocking killing intent coming from the inner realm. Wang Lin didn't know where the outer realm's ancient celestial realm was, and he didn't blindly search for it. Instead, he rushed toward the depths of the ancient star system. Although he didn't know the specifics, as long as he was here, he would be able to feel the aura of the outer realm's ancient celestial realm when it opened in 3 days. As Wang Lin's divine sense spread across the entire planet, the sovereign was in another floating palace. He stared ahead, and his dried-up right hand clenched. He didn't loosen his grip for a long time. He silently pondered for a long time, but in the end, he didn't make up his mind to kill Wang Lin. He was extremely wary of Wang Lin's bow, and before Wang Lin used up all the power in those 2 bows, he didn't dare to act. 2 years ago, he wanted to launch a sneak attack during the chaos, but he didn't expect to be detected by Wang Lin, who was inside the formation. He had no choice but to retreat after 1 sentence from Wang Lin. Why did he appear in the ancient star system? Could it be that he failed to provoke me and wants to lure me to kill him? The sovereign's eyes were filled with suspicion. He didn't understand why Wang Lin would be so arrogant to appear in planet Taiji. I won't approach the old man. I want to see what he can do. The sovereign silently pondered, and his eyes were filled with depression. His cultivation was heaven-defying, and if it wasn't for the fact that he was worried about the terrifyingly Guang arrow, he would have immediately attacked. Also in the ancient star system, inside the vortex formed by several cultivation planets, 7-colored light appeared and the 7-colored Taoist's figure appeared. He looked into the distance and revealed a smile. The Li Guang bow and arrow are in his hands. Although I asked the sovereign to give them to him, it is his fortune. Now that he has come here, what exactly does he want to do? This person is very similar to the old devil Jean. If he isn't the third, then he is a mysterious existence in the cave world. Such a cultivator, if he isn't the third, it would be a pity to kill him. However, this person has a flaw. If he doesn't die in the end, he can be used by me. The 7-colored Taoist smiled and withdrew his gaze. The blood formation has been completed and is being deduced. It won't be long before I know where the third one that has reincarnated countless times is. I have searched for you for tens of thousands of years. I really want to know who you are after reincarnation. On a cultivation planet in planet Taiji sat a woman in white. She was extremely beautiful, but there was a cold aura around her. She looked like snow that would never melt. She sat on a mountain with her eyes closed, but at this moment, she suddenly opened them. It's him. This woman was the 3rd concubine of the Celestial Sovereign's 8 imperial concubines. She didn't participate in the war in the inner realm. After leaving the ancient order tomb, she had been waiting here for something. What is he going to do by appearing here? Also in the ancient star system, there was a giant rift. Inside the rift was a beautiful space, and the 7th imperial concubine was sitting there. At this moment, the 7th imperial concubine opened her eyes and revealed a strange light. What is he going to do? These people weren't the only ones who had various speculations about Wang Lin's actions. At this moment, in the ancient star system, Dao Master Miao Yin, Devil Master Nine Heaven, and company had awakened from healing. They looked at the stars with gloomy expressions. Wang Lin's appearance and the bow in his hand put a lot of pressure on them. Almost all the 3rd step cultivators had their divine senses locked onto Wang Lin's aura. They didn't know what Wang Lin was going to do, so their expressions were very serious. As these 3rd step cultivators watched, Wang Lin's body slowly stop. At this moment, he was at the center of the ancient star system. No matter where he went, he could go in an instant. Wang Lin's figure stopped and he sat down. His eyes were closed as he silently cultivated and waited. His behavior shocked the people of the ancient star system who had gathered their divine senses. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, there were only 24 hours left in the last 3 days of the 3rd year. Once these last 24 hours passed, the cave world would usher in a heaven-shaking change. However, at this moment, aside from Wang Lin, no one else noticed. Not even the seven-colored Taoist and old devil Zhan could completely control this matter. If there was, perhaps there was one other person who felt it. That person was Tian Yunzi, who was sitting on a piece of rock in the summoned river that Wang Lin hadn't noticed. Tian Yunzi's eyes revealed a strange light as he lowered his head and his hands continued to move before him. His eyes became brighter and brighter until they were filled with excitement. Almost there. The last 24 hours, Wang Lin's figure remained motionless as he slowly cultivated to keep his aura at its peak. He also activated the drop of celestial immortal body blood between his eyebrows. 20 hours, 10 hours, 9 hours. When there were only 8 hours left from the end of the 3-year period, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, and there was a flash of light in them. The moment he opened his eyes, everyone in the ancient star system that was looking over was shocked and had countless speculations. It's him. Wang Lin turned his head and looked to the right. His expression gradually became strange. On the right side of Wang Lin, there was a group of hundreds of ancient star system cultivators moving forward. Their hair was a mess and they had some unknown substance smeared on their faces. It was very strange. As they moved forward, they let out loud roars. Celestial Dragon reveals Tao. If you believe in my Tao, you can avoid the calamity of the world. If you don't believe in my Tao, you will die with everyone. Celestial Dragon is mighty. Celestial Dragon is mighty. Celestial Dragon reveals Tao. If you believe in me, I will take you to the celestial realm for eternal life. As the words spread out, behind the hundreds of cultivators, there was a large group of nearly 1,000 cultivators. They also let out the same low beehole sound. Chapter 1685. Between the two groups of cultivators was a huge spirit stone platform. The spirit stone emitted a dense amount of spiritual energy, and from a distance, one could tell it was about 3,000 meters wide. A spirit stone of this size looked like a mountain, and was extremely rare. Wang Lin had rarely seen such a large spirit stone since he started cultivating. Although spirit stones were useless to him, his expression became even more strange when he saw it. Above the spirit stone platform was a completely red dragon. This dragon wasn't big, and it was lazily coiled around the spirit stone. Its eyes shined as it was being carried by hundreds of cultivators. Occasionally, it would lift its dragon claw and break off a spirit stone. It would then throw a spirit stone into its mouth and swallow it. It looked like it was enjoying itself very much. Mighty Celestial Dragon. Celestial Dragon reveals Tao. The roars of cultivators made the dragon feel very comfortable. If I wasn't trapped in that damn place for so many years, this old dragon would be living a better life in this cave world than outside. Damn Rosefinch, damn Celestial Sovereign, and damn Meat Sovereign. Fortunately, I escaped. This is my ideal life. How good life is, so wonderful. I can't help but think of the songs of my hometown, and I can't help but sing them 6 times. The red dragon was very excited. Its dragon claw broke off another spirit stone, and it threw it into its mouth. Little girl Erlong under the flying snow mountain, do you know how much I miss you? Your long whiskers, your wonderful body, and your bewitching eyes. The crimson dragon seemed to be too happy. While chewing on a spirit stone, he hummed as he rushed over. At the same time, its dragon tail seemed to have a rhythm as it constantly slapped the spirit stone, creating a thunderous rumble. The more than 1,000 cultivators on the 4 shields all had helpless expressions on their faces. To them, this song was very mournful, and there was nothing pleasant about it. Every time this happened, they could only yell out mighty words to counteract the terrifying singing voice. Celestial Dragon reveals Tao. Celestial Dragon is mighty. This red dragon is the flame dragon that was bled by the 2nd-generation Rosefinch in the Fallen Land. This dragon was later given to Wang Lin by the 2nd-generation Rosefinch, but this flame dragon escaped in advance. When the ancient tomb opened, Wang Lin didn't pay attention to this dragon for a while. In a flash, hundreds of years had passed. When Wang Lin had almost forgotten about this matter, this poor flame dragon had appeared in his mind. Almost at the instant the more than 1,000 cultivators surrounded the dragon, the divine senses that had gathered around Wang Lin all gathered in that direction when Wang Lin looked over. The flame dragon was still chewing on the spirit stone in its mouth, and the song that it was so proud of was still reverberating in the air. However, at this moment, the flame dragon's body suddenly trembled, and the chewing sounds from its mouth immediately quieted down, and the song immediately came to an abrupt end. It blinked and revealed a look of confusion, but it was soon replaced by shock, and its body trembled violently. This is Erlong's grandmother. Why are there so many divine senses here? Damn it, why are they so free to gather their divine senses here? After being stunned for a moment, the silly dragon immediately let out a whimper. Retreat, retreat, quickly go back. As it roared, the silly dragon's mind trembled. It had always been very careful in developing its own force and didn't provoke the people it thought it couldn't afford to provoke. It was afraid of being caught again. Even when it went out, it looked arrogant, but in truth, it had carefully chosen the path it took, and it was very cautious. It had been carried more than 10 times on this path, and each time, it didn't encounter any danger. It could also hide its aura with some strange divine Tao. If one didn't deliberately look for it, it would be very difficult to find it. Normally, if it encountered cultivators that were weaker than it would display its celestial might and scare them into obediently becoming a member of the celestial dragon Tao it had created. However, today, it didn't expect to encounter so many divine senses on its way. It was so scared by those divine senses that it trembled. Many of them were powerful enough to make it swallow large mouthfuls of gray saliva. The flame dragon's heart pounded, and it leaped into the air. It was about to flee, but when it saw the disciples looking at it with fear and confusion, it struggled for a moment before suppressing its fear. Carefully controlling its body, it slowly landed on the spirit stone platform and let out 8 dry coughs. This celestial dragon remembered that I still have a pot of pills to refine, so I won't go out to play. Quickly carry me back to refine pills. Hearing this, the surrounding cultivators were still bewildered, but they obeyed the dragon's order. They immediately turned around, picked up the giant spirit stone, and slowly retreated. However, the spirit stone was too big, so even if it left, its speed would be very slow. The flame dragon on top of the spirit stone was anxious. It could faintly feel the divine sense gathering on its body, and it felt scorching hot. To its dismay, it discovered that as the spirit stone moved, the divine sense followed it and locked onto it. Damn it! Hurry up! If you're any slower, I'm going to kill all of you. After saying that, it was still worried and quickly added another sentence. That bottle of medicinal pills of mine is very precious. In such a nervous mood, in the midst of its beating heart, the flame dragon didn't dare to act too abruptly. In its heart, it was thinking that if it suddenly flew away, it would very likely attract the attention of those who knew it. This matter couldn't be rushed, it had to be calm, it had to be calm. Dragon Celestial, you're the Dragon Celestial, you have to calm down. It's no big deal. Just pretend like you didn't see them. The silly dragon continued to encourage itself. As it trembled, it pretended like it hadn't noticed anything. However, it really wasn't good at this. It was fine if it wasn't a rock, but at this moment, everything was revealed on its face. When they were hundreds of thousands of feet away, the divine senses that had gathered left one by one, and the silly dragon cheered in its heart. It was as if the dragon's appearance was just an accident. They had no interest in it, so they all withdrew. To me, this is a great surprise, a chance at life from the jaws of death. It let out a sigh of relief and made up its mind. After it went back, it wouldn't come out for 10 years. It wouldn't take this path again. This path was too terrifying. However, even as it breathed a sigh of relief, The more than 1,000 cultivators didn't know what was happening and were panicking. In order to curry favor with the flame dragon, it wasn't clear who spoke first, but soon, all of them began to roar with all their might. The celestial dragon appears. Believe in my Tao and can avoid the calamity of the world. The celestial dragon is mighty. The celestial dragon appears. Believe in my Tao and take you to the boundless celestial realm. The celestial dragon is mighty. The moment this voice appeared, a powerful divine sense came from behind this group of people. This divine sense gave off a powerful pressure that almost made the flame dragon lose its courage. Mighty. Mighty my ass. All of you shut up. The dragon let out a roar that seemed like it was going to leave a trail of water in its eyes. It originally thought it had escaped this calamity, but it didn't expect these people's roars to attract a divine sense that made it tremble. Those words were something it had invented. Normally, it was very comfortable to listen to, but now it sounded like it was going to die. This caused the dragon to let out an aggrieved roar. After letting out that roar, the dragon quickly turned around and bowed with an expression that looked like it was about to cry. He. Sorry to disturb you, I'll leave now. These little ones don't know how to speak. How can I be mighty? I'm not an immortal. I'm just a snake, yes, a snake. But I look a bit like a dragon. He. The dragon's body trembled, and even its words became random. He. I won't disturb all of you seniors gathering here. You do your own things and don't bother with me. I can leave by myself. There's no need to send me off. The dragon trembled and didn't even want the spirit stone platform. It flew into the air and quickly fled. However, just as the dragon retreated, its body stopped once more. This time it was really about to cry. A white-robed figure with flowing hair appeared before it. Wang Lin walked out and revealed a smile that wasn't a smile as he looked at the dragon. It's you! When the dragon saw Wang Lin's appearance, it was startled. However, since the second-generation Rosefinch called it a stupid dragon, there was a reason for it to shoot. The dragon glared at Wang Lin. In its mind, this little guy was so weak that he couldn't withstand a single blow. When it looked at Wang Lin, it automatically forgot about the person that made it tremble. Damn it, you dare to stop this dragon? You drank this dragon's blood before. Since you've met this dragon today, I'll teach you a lesson. The fire dragon's eyes widened and it let out a roar at Wang Lin. It opened its mouth and endless fire spread out. From afar, it looked like a giant ball of fire that devoured Wang Lin along with itself. But in the next breath, the huge fireball exploded in all directions with a boom. Countless flames swept out and illuminated the starry sky. As the fireball collapsed, the dragon let out a roar of fear. Its body was thrown away and its eyes were filled with terror. Wang Lin walked out from the flames. As he stepped forward, the flames from the collapse of the four shields suddenly stopped and gathered at the same time. They gathered in Wang Lin's left hand and turned into a burning flame. Flame Dragon. Wang Lin's expression was still the same as before as he looked at the dragon with a smile that wasn't a smile. I'm really a snake. The dragon trembled. It was no longer stupid and remembered the terrifying aura from before. Chapter 1686. As it retreated, the fire dragon let out a whimper and unleashed its full strength. A large amount of flames immediately covered its body, and with the help of the flames, its body moved at an extremely fast speed as it rapidly retreated. It was frightened by Wang Lin's ability to casually condense its flames, and at that moment, it clearly sensed the aura of the origin of fire coming from Wang Lin's body. It also had the origin of fire, but compared to its opponent, it was much fainter. As a result, the fire dragon didn't have any courage to fight Wang Lin. As the fire dragon retreated, Wang Lin's expression was calm. His gaze swept across the fire dragon's body, and he raised his right hand and crushed the flame in his hand. A wave of heat spread out from Wang Lin's palm and spread out in all directions. Wang Lin didn't chase after it. Instead, He casually formed a seal with his right hand. This seal was given to him by the second-generation Rosefinch, and it was the seal to control the fire dragon. The moment this seal appeared, Yen Long, who had already retreated far away, immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. An identical seal suddenly appeared on its forehead. This seal was deeply imprinted on its head, carved into its bones and soul. None of you Rosefinch are good people. It hurts so much. You said you would let me go, but in the end, you left behind this damn seal. The fire dragon's body collapsed, revealing its body. With a flash, its body grew to tens of thousands of feet long. Looking from afar, the massive dragon body naturally gave off a suppressive might. But at that moment, this pressure couldn't affect Wang Lin at all. The fire dragon's body twisted, and the pain between its eyebrows caused tears to flow from its eyes. It hurts. I won't run anymore. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. You can do whatever you want. I won't run anymore, all right? Wang Lin's right hand loosened and he put away the seal. He took a step forward, and in the blink of an eye, he stepped on the fire dragon's head. The fire dragon was about to struggle, but it remembered the pain between its eyebrows. In fear, its body trembled, but it didn't dare to resist. Instead, its eyes were filled with tears, and it looked very wronged. It looked in the direction of the celestial dragon sect, and its eyes were filled with even more tears. Goodbye, my celestial dragon sect. Damn it, I shouldn't have taken this path. If I had known this would happen, alas. Wang Lin sat on the head of the fire dragon, and a fiery aura came from the fire dragon. He looked into the distance, and even his vision was distorted by the heat wave. The divine senses of the people from the ancient star system had gathered here and witnessed all of this. Their divine senses still existed in this area, so it was no surprise to them that Wang Lin had subdued this fire dragon. Although this fire dragon wasn't weak, equal to an early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator, it was still very weak to them. If it was before, when Wang Lin didn't know about the cave world, he would have subdued this fire dragon. However, he wouldn't have acted with the power of thunder and wasted no time. This dragon was different from all the demonic beasts Wang Lin had seen. Not only could it speak, it also had a very high level of intelligence. Not even the nether beast could compare to it. It also called itself a celestial dragon and knew how to create a celestial dragon sect to enslave cultivators to serve it. All of this was enough to show how extraordinary this dragon was. Most importantly, there was a faint celestial bloodline inside this dragon. This power was very faint, and it was difficult to notice unless one looked carefully. However, Wang Lin had fused with the blood of the immortal celestial body between his eyebrows, so he was able to vaguely see some clues. Wang Lin stood on the giant dragon's head and looked at the fire dragon below him. There were still 3 hours until the last day of the 3 years. These 3 hours were enough for Wang Lin to learn some things from this dragon. Wang Lin's divine sense shrouded the dragon and suddenly sent out a message. The immortal astral continent is your hometown, right? The fiery dragon was bewildered. It blinked its huge eyes and hurriedly shook its head. Wang Lin coldly stared at the dragon and raised his right hand. A soul-searching aura surrounded his right hand. He looked at the fire dragon and sent out a message. With your intelligence, you should know the effect of the spell in my hand. I'll ask you again, did you come from the immortal astral continent? The fire dragon's eyes were filled with fear, but for some reason, it looked at the more than 1,000 celestial dragon sect cultivators in the distance. It clenched its teeth and shook its head once more. Wang Lin frowned. He couldn't use the soul-searching spell right now. This was the ancient star system, and there were several third-step cultivators watching. If he used the soul-searching spell, it would give them a chance to attack. As a result, it would affect his plan in 3 hours. Wang Lin's eyes became even colder. He was going to send the fire dragon into his storage space and wait until he dealt with the matter of the ancient celestial realm before he interrogated it. However, just as he was about to use the soul-searching spell, the fire dragon's pleading voice echoed in his mind. Can you give me some face? Look at my disciples, they're all looking at me. How about this, give me some face and cooperate with me. I'll definitely cooperate with you. I'll tell you everything you want to know, okay? Wang Lin was startled and his expression became strange. He looked at the fire dragon below him, and after a long time, he nodded. When the fire dragon saw Wang Lin agree, it became very happy. Its expression became serious and its body trembled. It flew out from under Wang Lin and floated among the stars. Its eyes shined brightly and it looked very majestic. Its giant dragon claw pointed at Wang Lin and its voice echoed. As it spoke, the fire dragon paid attention to Wang Lin's expression. When it saw Wang Lin frown, its heart trembled and it quickly said, "You said you want to join my celestial dragon sect, right? Okay, this dragon will let you go and not care about your offense. I'll let you join my celestial dragon sect, A powerful person like you joining the celestial dragon sect is my blessing. Hee, you can be the vice sect master." Hearing these words, the more than 1,000 cultivators in the distance who had been shocked by what had happened were stunned. Without waiting for the cultivators to react, the flame dragon turned its head and looked at the group of cultivators, then it roared. "Okay, you all can go back. This celestial dragon is going to give some pointers to your vice sect master. Once I'm done, I'll go back. Take care of the clan for me." Although the more than 1,000 cultivators had a lot of doubts, they didn't dare to show it. Instead, they revealed a look of awe that the fire dragon liked to see. They quickly clasped their hands and respectfully retreated before leaving. It wasn't until all the cultivators were far away that the fire dragon's majesty disappeared and was replaced with embarrassment. Just as it was about to speak, Wang Lin stepped forward and stood on the fire dragon's head. In a flash, he brought the fire dragon back to where he was sitting. "Master, little dragon is indeed from the immortal astral continent. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Little dragon promises to tell you everything." The fire dragon revealed a flattering gaze and quickly sent out a divine sense message. "How did you come here from the immortal astral continent?" Wang Lin sat down on the fire dragon's head. "I followed my former master and a damn fellow. We came in together. That damn fellow knew that master favored me more and was very unconvinced. He said he heard news that the Seven Dao sect had a treasure and tricked my former master to come here. I'm loyal to my master, so I naturally didn't trust my master to come alone, so I came with him." The fire dragon was very angry. When it sent out a divine sense message, it looked into the distance as if it was afraid. Hearing this, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He looked down at the fire dragon for a long time until the fire dragon felt its hair stand on end. It trembled and sent out a divine sense message. The fire dragon carefully said, "I'm telling the truth, there's a bit of falsehood. I didn't come here to loyally protect my master, I was ridden here by my former master. What is your name?" Wang Lin trembled. He vaguely had a guess. "Master, you can just call me Little Red. My nickname is Little Red." The fire dragon shook its head and sent out a divine sense message. "Little Red." Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly as he stared at the fire dragon. His mind rumbled as the madman's words echoed in his mind. Little Red, where are you?" This king's things are with Little Red. Go find Little Red, go find my big brother and tell him I've been bullied." Not only did the fire dragon's hair stand on end under Wang Lin's gaze, but its heart also started pounding. It didn't know that it was provoking. It didn't know that the words provoke had caused it to be afraid and was about to send out a divine sense message. "Lian Daofei, who is he to you?" Wang Lin's divine sense slowly moved. When the fire dragon heard the words Lian Daofei, it was startled. You know my master?" "Lian Daofei was my former master, D. Unfortunately, he is dead." "Sure enough." Wang Lin's heart fluctuated. He didn't ask any more questions but waved his sleeves and put the fire dragon into his storage space. He couldn't continue to ask. There was only a short amount of time left. He had to maintain a calm mind so he could display his full power. At this moment, he needed to be calm. If the message from the fire dragon continued, it would be very difficult for Wang Lin to calm down. At this moment, after putting away the fire dragon, Wang Lin sat down and closed his eyes. He calmed the waves in his heart. Time passed. The divine senses of the people in the ancient star system shrouded the area. Many speculations appeared in their hearts as the last 6 hours slowly passed. The moment the last 6 hours passed, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. Today, he had erupted and was the first to release. The gap was only 300 points. He was going to use eruptions to obtain monthly votes. Chapter 1687. Time is up. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He had waited for this day for 3 years. The 3-year period had arrived. This day was a full 100 years since the war between the inner and outer realms began. The 4 generals of the inner realm's ancient celestial realm didn't disappoint Wang Lin. Their deal with Wang Lin was about to begin on this day. When the last breath of time passed, the star system became silent. The divine senses that gathered around Wang Lin didn't notice the upheaval that had occurred in the inner and outer realms after this breath of time passed. The first sign of this upheaval was in the brilliant void. In the brilliant void starfield, a vast sea of stars stretched as far as the eye could see. The resplendent starfield emitted bursts of multicolored light that spread out gently, making the darkness of the starry sky look as beautiful as a blooming flower. In the area surrounded by the nebula and the extremely beautiful light, there was a sudden roar from the starry sky. This roar was muffled. If the starry sky was compared to a door, then the sound was coming from behind the door. It was as if a giant was attacking the door in a frenzy, trying to break it open and walk out from inside. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the same muffled rumbles came from the summoned river. Not only the brilliant void and summoned river, but the cloud sea, the Luo Tian, and the inner realm's 4 star systems all echoed. This violent rumble appeared on the first breath and reached its peak on the 5th breath. The thunderous rumbles spread across every inch of the inner realm, every planet, and even the ears of every living being. At this instant, the countless living beings in the inner realm, whether it was mortals, fierce beasts, or even vegetation, all trembled and were at a loss. On an abandoned planet there were many fierce beasts. These fierce beasts had lived here for generations, chasing each other on the prairie and killing each other in the rainforest. However, at this moment, as the thunderous rumbles echoed, the cultivation planet became completely silent. All of the fierce beasts, whether it was the ferocious tiger pouncing on its prey or the giant python that had captured a small beast in the rainforest, all of them trembled and stared dumbfoundedly at the sky. The little beast that didn't die also forgot to struggle. It raised its head and looked at the sky in a daze. Boom, 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 boom. The sound was earth-shattering, and by the 8th breath, it had almost gone crazy. It shook the entire starry sky and turned into countless ripples that spread throughout the 4 great star regions. At this moment, it was as if countless ancient living beings were roaring, and their roars were echoing through the air. On a cultivation planet in the Summon River, there were only a few dozen cultivators here. They didn't go to the celestial realm but stayed here to find mortals that could cultivate as seeds for the future of the inner realm. At this moment, these dozens of people's faces were all pale, and they spurted out blood at the same time. They looked at the sky in fear. They did not know what was happening, but the rumbling in their ears had already reached their hearts, causing them to be extremely shocked. Could it be that the outer realm is invading again? Everyone's expressions were filled with shock. They were about to fly up, but the moment their bodies left the ground, a violent boom rang out, and they were pressed to the ground by a pressure that came from the sky. At the 11th breath, the rumble in the 4 star systems created a pressure. This pressure came from ancient times. It carried an ancient aura and shrouded the entire inner realm. It was as if it was telling the world that they had returned. On a cultivation planet in the Luotian star system, there were no cultivators left, only mortals. However, at this moment the originally lively cities on the planet were dead silent. The old man who was selling water and the dozen or so mortals who were drinking in the stall were all horrified to find that the originally bright and cloudless sky had suddenly darkened. As thunderous rumbles echoed, all the mortals' vision went black. Then they fell to the ground and fainted. The mortals who fainted couldn't see the change in the sky. At this moment, the sky darkened until all the light disappeared and it became night. At this moment, it was the 16th breath of the thunderous rumble. During these 16 breaths of time, the entire inner realm's 4 star systems lost all light. All the planets and continents became dark. The 17th breath, the first sign, appeared in the brilliant void. As the thunderous rumble echoed, a thunderous rumble that completely suppressed the previous 16 breaths echoed. This thunderous rumble was like a door breaking. It was like the heavens collapsing. As the sound echoed, the entire star system in the brilliant void began to shatter. This shattering spread and formed a giant rift. The moment the rift appeared, roars filled with excitement and madness came from the rift. The aura of the ancient celestial realm rushed out from the rift and swept across the brilliant void. At the same time as the low roars echoed, ferocious gazes came from the crack, and pairs of withered hands stretched out from the crack. It was as if there were many people erupting with all their strength from the crack, trying to tear open the curtain of stars in a frenzy. At this moment, giant rifts appeared in the summoned river, Luotian, and Cloud Sea. These 4 rifts tore open the star system and sent out the aura of the ancient celestial realm. The ancient celestial realm was about to awaken. In the Luotian Thunder celestial realm, old Deviljean suddenly stood up. His expression changed, and he walked out of the Thunder celestial realm. He appeared in the Luotian star system. His eyes revealed a strange light as he stared at the rift that had been torn open. His eyes revealed a flash of coldness. Ancient celestial realm. The rifts in the 4 star systems moved and thunderous rumbles echoed. The 4 rifts spread like crazy, and at the 19th breath, the entire inner realm seemed to be split open. The 4 rifts swept across the star system and gathered at the border of the 4 star systems, right above the new celestial realm. There was a thunderous rumble as the 4 rifts overlapped and a giant cross appeared. Bursts of ancient aura spread out and excited roars echoed. The moment the 4 rifts overlapped, all the light in the inner realm collapsed. At this moment, there was no more light in the inner realm. All the endless light was sucked away. After a strange change, all the light gathered outside the 4 rifts and erupted with blinding light. Thunderous rumbles echoed, causing the silver river outside the new celestial realm to tremble. The expressions of the inner realm cultivators changed greatly, and they all looked up at the sky. Qing Lin's face was pale. His body flashed, and he charged into the starry sky. This is the aura of the ancient celestial realm. The ancient celestial realm has returned. Master Hongshan, Master South Cloud, and Shimizu, let's go greet the ancient celestials. As Qing Lin got up, 3 rays of light flew out from the celestial realm. It was Master Hongshan, Master South Cloud, and Shimizu. The 4 of them turned into rays of light and charged into the sky. Below them were the many cultivators of the inner realm, and there was a giant statue standing at the highest peak of the celestial realm. This statue was moved here from planet Suzaku in the last 3 days. It was placed here to be worshipped for generations to come. When Qing Lin and company charged out from the Silver River and looked up at the cross-shaped rift, even Shimizu revealed a look of respect. There was no need to mention Qing Lin. They didn't dare to show any disrespect. The ancient celestials were gods to them. Only Situ Nan stared at the sky among the cultivators below. Wang Lin's words echoed in his mind. He didn't say this to anyone. He looked at the rift, but there was no awe in his heart. There was only a complicated feeling of confusion. After Heng-ji disappeared, the ancient celestial realm had descended once more. At this moment, a shocking roar came from within the cross-shaped crack. Finally, with a bang, the crack was completely torn open. As the crack was torn open, the light that had been absorbed from the surroundings immediately condensed into a huge strip of light. Soon, another strip of light appeared. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of light strips had appeared. These strips of light circled around each other from top to bottom, forming a giant staircase. This staircase spread out and floated in layers. After the staircase appeared, many figures emitting a golden glow walked out from the crack with excited gazes. Soon, more than a dozen figures rushed out. "We finally came out! Now that our cultivation has recovered, we Celestials have returned." Roars came from these dozens of golden figures. Each of them had the aura of a third-step cultivator. This aura was vaguely different from that of the cave cultivators, but it was difficult to describe exactly what was different. Behind these dozens of people, golden figures flew out one after another. From afar, this scene was extremely shocking. Qing Lin's group of 4 was the closest to the golden light. Their expressions were serious, especially Master Hongshan and Master South Cloud. They clasped their hands. However, compared to them, Qing Lin was the most excited. He took a step forward, cupped his fists towards the golden figures, and spoke respectfully. "Lord of the Sealed Realm's disciple, Qing Lin, greets the ancient era's immortal." However, his existence and words didn't attract any attention from the ancient Celestials at all. The ancient Celestials all laughed wildly and turned into rays of golden light that passed by Qing Lin and the others. In an instant, they headed straight for the new celestial realm. I haven't devoured incense for a long time. Although the incense aura here is not strong, it can slightly relieve my eternal addiction. Joss flames. There's the smell of Joss flames here. Haha, I didn't expect that as soon as I woke up, there would be Joss flames in front of me. Disciple of the Lord of the Sealed Realm, you are very good. These Celestials charged toward the new celestial realm. When Qing Lin and the others saw this, their hearts trembled. Here comes the second update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1688. Shimizu's eyes lit up and his slaughter essence gathered in his body. His daughter was in the celestial realm, and the celestial realm was built by each of them. This was their home. At this moment, someone had broken in and was going to destroy his home. No matter who this person was, even if it was an ancient celestial, he, Shimizu, was going to kill them. Qing Shui's body flickered and he charged forward. Master Hongshan and Master South Cloud were startled for a moment and their expressions changed greatly. After hesitating for a moment, they clenched their teeth and charged forward. Qing Lin was startled, and his struggle was the most intense. However, when he saw the dozens of Celestials laugh and tear open the Silver River, he saw the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators below. They all had looks of fear on their faces. Qing Lin let out a roar and took a step forward. "Stop! Fellow ancient Celestials, this is my inner realm's celestial realm," Qing Lin said as he moved forward. However, before he could finish speaking, 7 or 8 of the dozens of Celestials suddenly turned around. Their eyes shined brightly and they waved their right hands at the 4 of them. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and a golden storm containing the power of the celestial bloodline swept toward the 4 of them. As the rumbles echoed, Qing Lin and company trembled. "What guts to stop us Celestials from absorbing Joss flames?" one of them sneered. His words were filled with endless arrogance and nobility. This golden storm contained the power of the celestial bloodline, and it could suppress the souls of inner realm cultivators. It was as if they were facing a natural enemy. This caused Qing Lin, Taoist Water, and Master South Cloud's hearts to tremble and they all retreated. Only this bloodline power had no effect on Qing Shui. It was as if he didn't notice it at all. He charged out of the golden storm and charged at the dozens of celestials with shocking killing intent. However, he was still a bit too slow. The dozen or so immortals who had entered the immortal world first had already appeared in the sky above the immortal world. They looked down at the tens of thousands of fearful cultivators and laughed. There were even a few people who released their bloodline power to suppress the ground, causing the tens of thousands of cultivators to not dare to move. Those people jumped down, and one of them grabbed a female summoned river cultivator and was about to suck on her. If he did that, he would be able to turn this female cultivator into joss flames and absorb them into his body. However, at this instant, an ancient celestial spread out his divine sense while laughing. At the instant his divine sense spread out, his laughter came to an abrupt halt. His eyes bulged and unimaginable terror appeared on his face. He let out a scream. The scream was shrill, and the moment it came out of his mouth, the rest of the celestials were stunned. The celestial who was about to suck the female cultivator subconsciously gave up on sucking and looked up at the person who screamed. His statue. There is a statue of him there. A shrill scream echoed. The dozens of celestials in the new celestial realm and the dozens of people that had arrived were all startled. Their divine senses spread out and saw the statue on the mountain in the distance. All of the celestials gasped. The celestial holding the female cultivator let go and his face turned pale. It's him! How could his statue be here? This sudden discovery caused the dozens of celestials to be filled with terror. They could never forget the power of that arrow in the ancient celestial realm 3 years ago. It wasn't until this moment that Situ Nan awakened. Without hesitation, he waved his right hand and a jade appeared in his hand. This was the jade he had obtained when he met Wang Lin and Suzaku 3 years ago. After learning about the cave world, Wang Lin had given it to him before he left. Wang Lin had told him that if any celestials killed any inner realm cultivators when the ancient celestials descended, he should crush this jade. After taking out the jade, Situ Nan suddenly crushed it. The moment the jade was torn, Wang Lin's aura erupted from it. The dozens of celestials were very familiar with this aura. The moment this aura appeared, they all flew into the air and looked over. Space distorted and a white-robed figure appeared. This figure was Wang Lin. The jade strip contained a sliver of his divine sense. At this moment, although his divine sense was just an illusory body, the chill from the two countries had completely spread out. Rosefinch, Black Tortoise, Azure Dragon, White Tiger, is this the agreement you all spoke of? Wang Lin's eyes revealed a cold gaze as he coldly looked at the dozens of celestials in the sky. He waved his sleeve and let out a roar. Scram! As soon as the roar rang out, a shocking killing intent appeared, and it triggered the memories of the dozens of celestials. As the roar echoed, the dozens of celestials turned pale and retreated. In the blink of an eye, they left the celestial realm. Outside the celestial realm, among the dozens of celestials that arrived was an old man. It was Azure Dragon. His expression was gloomy as he stared at the people that had entered the celestial realm. He let out a cold snort and stepped forward. He clasped his hands at the celestial realm and spoke. The old man wasn't strict enough and came a step late. I hope fellow cultivator can forgive me. The old man will give an explanation. Fortunately, there were no casualties. Fellow cultivator, please don't be angry. Our deal is as before. We entered the UNG celestial realm and won't kill any inner realm cultivator. In the ancient star system outside the outer realm, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He had already expected this, which was why he had left the jade. At this moment, he saw the ancient celestials leave in a sorry state. Just as he was about to speak, his expression changed and he looked into the distance. Without hesitation, Wang Lin stood up and quickly flew off into the distance. The ancient celestial realm was originally one, and then it was split. Although there were two parts in the inner and outer realms, they were still connected. The opening of the inner realm's ancient celestial realm would cause the outer realm's ancient celestial realm to open as well. The upheaval in the inner realm was blocked by the formation, but the third step cultivators in the outer realm still felt it. In particular, the sovereign's eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, he suddenly understood what Wang Lin was going to do. Not good. He wants to destroy my outer realm's ancient celestial realm with the power of two bows. He is so crazy. He must know everything and that this is only the cave world. The sovereign's expression changed greatly and he charged into the stars. At this moment, not only him, but the expressions of all the third step cultivators around Wang Lin changed greatly. They all understood what Wang Lin was going to do at the same time. Wang Lin used his full speed. From his current position, it would only take a moment for him to go anywhere in the Supreme Lux star system. At this moment, he disappeared and reappeared in a star domain with a large amount of spatial rifts. There were countless spatial rifts in this star domain, and thunderous rumbles came from them. The moment Wang Lin appeared, the star domain collapsed as if the sky had collapsed. A giant gap appeared in the star domain. An ancient aura spread out from the gap. At the same time, maniacal laughter could be heard as golden figures walked out from the gap. These figures were also ancient celestials, and they were all disciples of the Seven Tao sect. However, they weren't listening to the seven-colored celestial sovereign, but his celestial imperial concubines. To be more accurate, they were listening to the Tao partner that the seven-colored celestial sovereign had abandoned to save his life. Otherwise, if it wasn't for the seven-colored celestial sovereign's Tao partner, the disciples of the Seven Tao sect wouldn't have listened to the celestial imperial concubines. It could be said that this was one of the reasons for the battle in the cave world. Their existence was the ace of the celestial imperial concubines. After seeing through Wang Lin's goal, the seventh concubine's expression changed greatly and she charged at Wang Lin. Even the third concubine's heart trembled and she rushed over. Wild laughter echoed from the gap as golden figures flew out one by one. However, the moment they flew out, they immediately saw a white-haired, white-robed cultivator waiting for them with his eyes closed. They didn't know Wang Lin. Although Wang Lin's cultivation level was high, they didn't care about him at all. As they laughed, their eyes were filled with excitement and their roars echoed in all directions. We finally came out. Since we came out, then the four generals will come out as well. Kill them and obtain the Tao inheritance. Then we can form the new Seven Tao sect. Not only must we kill them all, but we must also wipe out all life in this cave world. Only then can we reopen the cave world. These golden celestials flew out one by one. One of them revealed a cruel gaze and charged at Wang Lin. He was very fast and instantly closed in on Wang Lin. He raised his right hand and let out a roar. Your luck is bad to actually send yourself to my door. This celestial will absorb you and turn you into Joss Flame. An ordinary cultivator of the immortal astral continent, an ordinary disciple of the Seven Tao sect, you dare to call yourself a celestial. Wang Lin opened his eyes, an array of golden light shot out from them. This golden light was formed after he fused with the immortal celestial body blood between his eyebrows. This golden light was the power of an extremely pure celestial bloodline. When the celestial saw the golden light in Wang Lin's eyes, he was startled and his expression changed greatly. He subconsciously retreated, and a sense of fear rumbled in his mind. Who are you? Third Night Watch, writing Fourth Night Watch, asking for monthly votes. Chapter 1690. The timing of the sovereign's appearance was extremely precise. He appeared almost the moment Wang Lin fired the second bow. The sovereign was determined to kill Wang Lin. In terms of cultivation, the sovereign had already entered the arcane tribulent stage. Aside from a few people, no one was his match. In terms of status, although he was a slave on the immortal astral continent, to outsiders, he was the disciple of a noble, and they had to give him some face. In the cave world, he was the leader of the 5 masters of the outer realm. His status had been very high for tens of thousands of years, and he was respected by countless cultivators. He was regarded as a god by many clans. He also had the Sovereign Council, and one word from him was enough to set off a catastrophe in the outer realm. Even some celestial imperial concubines couldn't be strong before him. This was the Sovereign. Even in the inner realm, the Sovereign's name was very famous. Anyone who knew of him would feel a sense of fear. Everything that had happened in the past proved just how cunning the Sovereign was and how difficult it was to fathom him. From when he besieged the Lord of the Sealed Realm, to when the Tattoo clan arrived to lure Qing Lin, to when he participated in the destruction of the 4 celestial realms, and finally to when he left behind many seeds in the inner realm. Zhan Xingye, the head disciple of the heaven-breaking sect in the Cloud Sea, Taoist Water, and others all had the shadow of the Sovereign behind them. He had also set off many wars between the inner and outer realms. He was the leader of these wars, and the number of cultivators that had died by his hand was enough to cover an entire star system. In his life, before he met Wang Lin, he had only been in a sorry state 3 times. The first time was when he was forced by the 7-colored Taoist to become his disciple. However, to be forced by the 7-colored Taoist meant that the Sovereign was very talented. The second time was when he first met Old Devil Zhan on planet Taiji, and the Sovereign was defeated in their battle. During that battle, he deeply remembered the name Old Devil Zhan. As for the third time, when the Sovereign entered the inner realm to search for the Liguang arrow, he was seriously injured by a roar and had to flee in a sorry state. Aside from those 3 times, the Sovereign had always gotten what he wanted and never miscalculated. That was until he met Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin was his nemesis, causing the Sovereign to almost go crazy. The first time he schemed against Wang Lin was when Wang Lin first entered the ancient star system. The Sovereign wanted to fish out Wang Lin's soul, but not only was he stopped by Tao Master Blue Dream, he also lost track of Wang Lin's aura when the Ji tomb opened. This was an accident, so the Sovereign didn't take it to heart. But soon, it happened a second time. At the entrance of the Tomb of Luck, he watched helplessly as Wang Lin sealed the power of the outer world. Just as he was about to rescue him, Wang Lin used the power of the lowest level of the ancient tomb to let out a roar. This roar was like a sharp sword that collided with the Sovereign. The Sovereign coughed out blood and quickly retreated. This could barely be considered an accident. Although the Sovereign was depressed, he understood the reason. However, this wasn't the end. There was a third time between him and Wang Lin. It was at the Cloud Sea battlefield. His disciple had taken out the Liguang Bao and was ordered to send it into the inner realm to lure out Old Devil Zhan. When the two of them fought, the Bao unexpectedly fell into Wang Lin's hands. If that was it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Wang Lin had also obtained the Liguang arrow. This caused the Sovereign's heart to become gloomy. However, even at that time, the Sovereign didn't care about Wang Lin. He still thought that the previous few times were just accident. Even if Wang Lin had the bow and arrow, due to his bloodline, he couldn't use its full power. If he wanted to kill Wang Lin, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. It wasn't until the 4th time that he and many third-step cultivators from the outer realm used fishing the moon in the well to create an illusion world to lure Wang Lin here to kill him. This time, he had calculated everything without missing a single detail, and Wang Lin had used his full power. In the end, even though Wang Lin had released the immortal astral soul sealed by Yemo, it couldn't change the trajectory of his death. The Sovereign believed that there would be no more accidents. However, the Sovereign never would have thought that an accident would occur again. The appearance of the madman set off a monstrous wave in his mind and caused his life and death calamity to completely collapse. Not only had he failed to kill Wang Lin, but he had become the reason why his cultivation level had increased greatly. This matter made the sovereign feel extremely depressed. However, he still didn't recognize Wang Lin. He still thought that Wang Lin was just lucky. It wasn't until the 5th time that Wang Lin killed him with one arrow that the sovereign, who had been reborn with the 3-life spell, completely woke up. Once, twice, thrice, and 4 times were all accidents, so how could the 5th time still be an accident? What kind of accident was this? This Wang Lin was clearly his nemesis. Wang Lin was like a thorn in the sovereign's heart. Every time he thought about Wang Lin, he would feel depressed. It was difficult to suppress it, and he almost went crazy. This time, I definitely won't fail. The sovereign's figure appeared 100,000 feet away from Wang Lin. He stared at Wang Lin and waved his sleeves. He turned into a ray of light and charged at Wang Lin. His arcane turbulent cultivation erupted at this moment. As his cultivation spread out, space itself trembled and a terrifying ripple spread. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but he continued to retreat. The sovereign's strength was not something he could contend with. At this moment, the sovereign's cultivation erupted and space itself became a raging sea. Wang Lin was like a lone leaf that continued to retreat under the roar of the waves. The old man calculated that he only has the power to shoot 2 arrows. There will be no more accidents. Now that he has shot 2 arrows, I can no longer feel any celestial bloodline from him. He can't shoot the Li Guang Bao. The sovereign's eyes were filled with powerful killing intent. His desire to kill Wang Lin was monstrous. If he didn't kill Wang Lin, it would be difficult for him to enter a meditative state. In truth, it was no wonder the sovereign was like this. Wang Lin seemed to have an immortal body, and the sovereign was on the verge of despair. He almost subconsciously thought that Wang Lin was almost impossible to kill. Every time Wang Lin reached a critical moment, there would always be an accident that reversed the situation. It was as if there was an invisible force that was changing everything. Although it was a bit mysterious, the sovereign almost thought this was the case. This time, I don't believe there will be another accident. Damn it, even if he asks Master to come out, I must kill this Wang Lin. He definitely doesn't have the power to shoot a 3rd time, I won't be wrong. The reason the sovereign was so sure was because of his celestial bloodline. After all, he was the madman's slave and had personally forced out the blood of Wang Lin's immortal celestial body. He knew how many times this blood could be used to shoot the bow. Aside from him, it would be very difficult for others to accurately calculate this. The sovereign's eyes were filled with killing intent. As he stepped forward, the world rumbled and space itself trembled. Endless ripples spread in all directions. Absolutely not. He will definitely die this time. If I can't kill him, then the old man will take his surname. The sovereign's desire to kill Wang Lin had reached a limit. At this moment, not only was his expression crazy, but his mind was also crazy. In an instant, he appeared before the retreating Wang Lin. He raised his right hand and mercilessly threw a palm at Wang Lin. Die for the old man! There was no conversation at all with Wang Lin. The sovereign immediately used his most powerful spell. In truth, although he was constantly making sure that his calculation was correct, he was still a bit worried. He was afraid that if he talked to Wang Lin, there might really be an accident. In addition, this palm contained a subconscious intent to test the sovereign. After all, this wasn't the first time the sovereign had experienced an accident with Wang Lin. A giant palm print suddenly appeared between the sovereign and the retreating Wang Lin. The moment the palm print appeared, it suddenly expanded. In the end, it didn't become too big, only 1,000 feet. However, this 1,000-foot palm print was extremely solid, as if it was real. After it appeared, it charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face was pale, but there was no trace of panic in his eyes. He was completely calm. He wasn't surprised that the sovereign had appeared. If the sovereign hadn't appeared, it would have made Wang Lin think a bit more. As the 1,000-foot palm print closed in, Wang Lin raised his right hand. The ancient god stars between his eyebrows, the demon stars in his left eye, and the ancient demon stars in his right eye all shined. Bursts of ancient Tao power gathered in his body and gathered on his right index finger. Using the immortal celestial body as inspiration, he created his own spell, the ancient immortal finger. The moment he pointed, a burst of green light erupted from Wang Lin's body. The green light shield surrounded him, and a giant light shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. It was the light and shadow shield. There were bursts of rainbow-colored light behind the light and shadow shield. A 5-colored butterfly flapped its wings and landed on Wang Lin's shoulder. As it flapped its wings, rainbow-colored powder fell. From afar, it was extremely beautiful. "It's not time yet." Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. All of this happened in an instant. Just at this moment, the 1,000-foot palm print arrived and collided with Wang Lin's right index finger. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The moment they collided, Wang Lin's body felt like it was going to collapse. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and retreated several steps. The palm print closed in and his right index finger disintegrated. However, the moment it disintegrated, it reformed. In just a few short breaths, Wang Lin's right index finger had been destroyed and reformed more than 1,000 times. The difference in cultivation level was like the gap between heaven and earth. Wang Lin couldn't cross it at all. After a few breaths, although he could still endure the speed at which his right index finger was collapsing, his body couldn't. Wounds appeared all over his body, and intense pain filled his body as if his body was going to be destroyed. The light and shadow shield flashed and then collapsed. The azure light shield shined brightly and was knocked back into Wang Lin's body. The 5-colored butterfly trembled and dissipated into a ray of 5-colored light. Yesterday, the chapter name was frozen. There were two 1,688s, so I can't change the chapter name. To be continued. Chapter 1691. This destructive force caused Wang Lin to cough out blood once more. Large amounts of cracks appeared on his body, and he quickly retreated. His right index finger continued to resist as Wang Lin's left hand formed a seal and wave. With this wave, space itself trembled and a giant palm print appeared. This was the War Spirit print. The War Spirit print appeared along with Wang Lin's left hand. It charged at the sovereign's palm print and collided with it. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the invincible War Spirit print collapsed when it collided with the sovereign's palm print. Wang Lin was knocked back and large amounts of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. This was just the first confrontation and he was seriously injured. However, the sovereign's palm print paused for a moment before closing in once more. Wang Lin suddenly looked up with a ferocious expression and pointed at the sky. 7-colored light appeared and turned into a 7-colored lance that shot toward the palm print. Both sides resisted once more, and a monstrous rumble echoed. Wang Lin's body was pushed back tens of thousands of feet by a powerful gust of wind. His hands trembled and his legs were covered in blood. However, the palm print hadn't disintegrated. Although it had dissipated a bit and wasn't as solid as before, it still closed in and descended on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with madness. The sovereign's strength was not beyond his expectations. This was the power of an arcane tribulant cultivator. The moment the palm print closed in, Wang Lin's left eye was filled with fire and his right eye was filled with thunder. His 3 essences and the slaughter essence appeared around him to form 6 illusory essence swords. With one wave, the 6 swords shot out toward the palm print. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and instead of retreating, he stepped forward. The 6 swords instantly closed in on the palm print and stabbed into it. Ripples echoed as the swords collided with the palm print. At the same time, Wang Lin closed in with a ferocious expression. He raised his hand and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Heaven Ripping! The Heaven Ripping spell, he obtained from Yimo's child was used by Wang Lin for the first time. His hands mercilessly grabbed the space before him and he roared, "Heaven ripping!" His hands mercilessly tore the space before him. There was a thunderous bang as the space before Wang Lin trembled and a rift was torn open. He borrowed this force to tear at the palm print that was stabbed by the 6 swords. At this instant, an ancient order shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. This shadow was very different from the one Wang Lin had summoned before. It was no longer just a head, but a blurry body. This body was the ancient Tao body. Although Wang Lin hadn't refined the 8 drops of blood, it had naturally appeared. This vague ancient Tao body also stretched out its arms. As Wang Lin let out a roar, it tore at the palm print before him. Space itself trembled and an indescribable tearing force spread out. It tore open space, tore open the stars, tore open the operation of the world, and tore open the sovereign's palm print. The palm print collapsed. The 6 swords also shattered into countless fragments that returned to Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's hands were a bloody mess. The heaven-ripping power relied entirely on his 10 fingers. Not only that, but even the ancient Tao shadow behind Wang Lin collapsed. Wang Lin's body was thrown back and he coughed out large amounts of blood mist. His face was pale, but the madness in his eyes disappeared and was replaced with calmness. It was as if everything that had happened was just a play. This is the power of a peak arcane void cultivator who has stepped into the arcane turbulent stage. If I didn't have the Li Guang Bao, I wouldn't be able to. Wang Lin's body staggered and bursts of pain came from his body. His origin soul was a blur and he was injured by the rebound force. Although all of this sounds long, it happened very quickly. Although the palm print had dissipated, the sovereign began to laugh. He was finally certain that Wang Lin didn't have the power to fire a 3rd bao. At this moment, he no longer had any worries. He grinned and revealed a cruel killing intent as he walked toward Wang Lin. "Wang Lin, I want to see where you can escape this time. This star domain has been sealed by the old man, you can't break out." The sovereign's heart was filled with joy. He had waited 3 years for this day. Just as the sovereign closed in, a howl echoed in the distance. Ripples echoed and the 7th concubine walked out with a gloomy expression. Shortly after, Celestial Master Miao Yin and Devil Master 9 Heavens also appeared from another direction and charged at Wang Lin. 3 of the 5 masters of the ancient star system and the 7th concubine of the ancient celestial sovereign. Any one of them could shake the inner and outer realms, but at this moment they had all appeared here. Their goal was to kill Wang Lin. 2011-07-1518 14 Reply to Wooly Scratch Yen Jing Doloa 46804 Fans 3rd floor. Seeing all 4 of them appear, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He had been waiting for all 4 of them to appear. Only in this way could he complete the first step of his plan once and for all. Destroying the outer realm's ancient celestial realm, causing chaos in the cave world, and destabilizing the balance of power was the first step of Wang Lin's plan. However, with his cunning, how could he not have foreseen that he would have no way out? He would be trapped in the ancient star system and hunted by others. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. As the sovereign closed in with a grin, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. His left hand reached at the void and the Li Guang Bao suddenly appeared in his hand. The moment the Li Guang Bao appeared, the sovereign's expression changed greatly. He subconsciously stopped and even retreated several thousand feet. His eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. "Impossible! You only have the power to pull the bao twice. I can't be wrong again. This is impossible. You are just pretending to be mysterious, you can't pull the bao." The sovereign couldn't accept this. He couldn't accept his plan going wrong again. These accidents were fatal to him and could destroy his confidence and shake his Tao heart. At this moment, not only did the sovereign retreat, even the 7th concubine's expression changed. She stopped and didn't move forward. Miao Yin and Devil Master Nine Heaven's expressions also changed, and they stopped. The sovereign's face was pale and his eyes were filled with madness. He roared at Wang Lin, "You're pretending to be mysterious." However, just as he roared, he stopped before the sovereign's terrified gaze. He saw Wang Lin's right hand place on the bowstring and pull it back. There was a hum, and this beautiful sound entered the sovereign's ears. It was so terrifying that it made his body tremble. The memory of the death boat from 3 years ago erupted and drowned him. Impossible! This is absolutely impossible! Even if you pull the bow, you don't have the celestial spiritual energy to make the Li Guang arrow appear. The sovereign retreated with a pale face. However, just at this moment, there was a flash of ghostly light on the bowstring that Wang Lin had pulled back. The arrow that could shock all things appeared. Holding the bow, he locked onto the sovereign and company before him. He raised his left hand and the arrow on the bowstring pointed at the sovereign. The sovereign's face was deathly pale when the arrow pointed at him. The blow he had suffered was mainly from his mind. His plans had all collapsed before Wang Lin, and not a single one of them had succeeded. Even this time, when he was certain, he found that he was wrong again. The old man doesn't believe it. Everything you did was fake. Although you made the arrow appear, you don't have the celestial spiritual energy to use it. I don't believe it, I'll bet on this. The sovereign went crazy. Not only did he not retreat, but he charged at Wang Lin. His expression was distorted as his hands formed a seal and the giant palm print appeared once more. Behind the palm, a huge illusory well appeared. As soon as it appeared, it spread out in all directions, enveloping the entire starry sky. It was as if the entire starry sky was being sucked into the water of the well. At the same time, a scarlet sun suddenly appeared in the well water that contained the starry sky. The power of the absolute beginning law permeated the surroundings. The sovereign went crazy and his right hand mercilessly hit the top of his head. A fist-sized bone bead was forced out. This bone bead was gray and gave off a white bone aura. After it appeared, the sovereign's cultivation level and spells increased several-fold. He shrouded the star system and shot toward Wang Lin. "I'll make you believe it and remember it." There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, and he closed his eyes so others wouldn't see the golden light in his eyes. He used his divine sense to pull the bow and arrow back a bit more before suddenly letting go. The moment he let go, the arrow roared into the air, transforming into a long rainbow that shook the heavens and earth as it whistled forward. The giant palm print collapsed and was penetrated by the arrow. Ripples spread out on the well that contained the star system, and it was destroyed by the arrow. There was also the sun that couldn't stop the arrow. It pierced through the sovereign with a destructive force toward the sovereign, whose eyes were filled with despair and shock. "This is impossible." The arrow was too fast and flashed through the sovereign's body. The sovereign's body trembled violently and collapsed when the arrow passed by. His flesh and blood were blown tens of thousands of kilometers away by a storm of flesh and blood. Miao Yin's celestial master and 9 heaven devil master coughed out blood and their bodies exploded. Their origin souls were about to retreat, but Wang Lin waved his sleeve and took them away. Only the 7th concubine coughed out a large mouthful of blood. She was seriously injured by the arrow, but because she was a celestial imperial concubine, she had a celestial imperial treasure to protect herself, so she was lucky to survive. After the arrow passed by, the sovereign's flesh and blood rapidly reformed and he revived once more. His face was pale and he looked at Wang Lin with fear he had never felt before. At this moment, he didn't dare to say he could calculate how many arrows Wang Lin had left. Without any hesitation, just like 3 years ago, the sovereign escaped like crazy and didn't even dare to look back. Just at this moment, a monstrous, 7-colored light shined in this star domain. It was as if someone was coming with the 7-colored light. The light spread out and completely lit up the star domain. The 2 chapters had the same name, But the difference was the symbol. The plot had reached a critical moment, and he was afraid it wouldn't be written well. If it didn't erupt in the next few days, it would erupt once he sorted out the plot in the outline. After calculating it, there were still 1,000 more words until the 39th chapter. In the next half-month, there would only be more, not less. Thank you everyone for your support, thank you all. Chapter 1692. The seven-colored light flashed and the retreating sovereign suddenly stopped. He revealed a bitter and complicated expression as he looked at the seven-colored light. There was also the seventh celestial imperial concubine, who had luckily used a treasure to resist the Li Guang Bao. She looked at the seven-colored light with a very complicated gaze. He really came. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he no longer hesitated. He retreated a few steps and his right hand reached at the void. A jade immediately appeared in his hand. He crushed it and the jade turned into dust. Shortly after, a fist-sized black hole appeared where the jade shattered in Wang Lin's hand. A shocking suction force came from the black hole and a ghostly light surrounded Wang Lin. It was going to suck him into the black hole. In the distance, as the seven-colored light spread out, an illusory figure walked over. This figure was a middle-aged man wearing a Taoist robe. He gave off the air of a celestial and was surrounded by seven-colored light. His expression was calm, but when he saw Wang Lin crush the jade and the vortex in his right hand, there was a flash of strange light in the seven-colored Taoist's eyes. "You want to leave this way?" "Not possible." As the seven-colored Taoist spoke, he raised his right hand and casually pointed at Wang Lin. With this, the seven-colored light shined brightly and gathered before the Taoist. The light fused with his finger and turned into a seven-colored wind that shot toward Wang Lin. This seven-colored wind moved faster than the naked eye and instantly broke through the world. It was less than 7 feet from Wang Lin. A chill came from Wang Lin and spread to every pore in his body. He felt a life-and-death crisis. Based on the speed of this wind, Wang Lin didn't have time to enter the black hole. However, there was no hint of panic on his face, as if all of this was within his calculations. The instant the seven-colored gust of wind closed in, a woman's hand suddenly stretched out from the black hole. There was a jade-green ring on the middle finger of that hand. The moment it reached the depths of the black hole, it collided with the seven-colored gust of wind. Without a sound, the seven-colored gust of wind collapsed, but it turned into seven-colored gas. The moment it collapsed, it was like 7 venomous snakes that burrowed into the jade-like hand. A muffled groan of injury came from the black hole. The jade-like hand trembled and formed a seal. In a flash, it split into 7 parts. From a distance, 7 identical jade-like hands overlapped to form a circle. Then a burst of 7-colored light came from the 7 jade-like hands. With a gentle wave, the 7 jade-like hands gave off 7-colored light. They flew out from Wang Lin and shot toward the 7-colored Taoist. At the same time, Wang Lin was completely sucked into the black hole and disappeared from the ancient star system. All of this took a long time, but it all happened in an instant. When the sovereign saw the strange handprint formed by the 7 jade-like hands, his expression changed greatly. He stared at the handprint and his eyes shined brightly. "So it's her." The 7th concubine was even more shocked. Her face turned pale and she subconsciously retreated a few steps. She exclaimed, "Big sister?" She didn't die. Only the 7-colored Taoist remained calm. As the 7-colored palm closed in, he raised his right hand and waved his sleeve. 7-colored ripples immediately spread out from the galaxy before him and collided with the 7-colored palm. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and a moment later, everything disappeared. The 7-colored Taoist closed his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. After a long time, he slowly opened his eyes and looked at where Wang Lin and the black hole disappeared to. His eyes were filled with reminiscence. 7-colored jade handprint. That should be its name. Unfortunately, I only obtained the spell and didn't have all the memories. However, you can't escape from me. The Li Guang Bao has completed its mission, and it is time to take it back. The seven-colored Taoist raised his head and disappeared without a trace. Only the sovereign and the seventh concubine remained. They looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They were shocked by the appearance of the handprint and the identity of the owner of the jade-like hand. The first concubine of the celestial sovereign. She was also the little sister of the seven-colored celestial sovereign's Tao partner. In the depths of the inner realm's cloud sea, there was a giant spatial crack outside the demon sect. Few people knew where this spatial crack led to, but there were many fierce beasts that often rushed out to wreak havoc. At this moment, in the depths of the crack, in a pitch-black, unfamiliar space, there was a gigantic beast that was several thousand zhang long. The beast looked like a lion, but there was a single horn on its head. On the head of the mighty lion, in front of the horn, sat a woman. She was peerless and extremely beautiful. At this moment, her face was pale, and as she sat there, her hands formed a seal and waved before her. There was a fist-sized black vortex before her that seemed to be devouring the surrounding darkness. Shortly after, the black vortex trembled and expanded until it was 10 feet wide. Wang Lin walked out from it. The moment he walked out, the black hole vortex collapsed and turned into specks of light that disappeared into thin air. Many thanks. Wang Lin clasped his hands at the woman sitting there. The beautiful woman opened her eyes and revealed a hint of exhaustion. She looked at Wang Lin, and after a long time, she shook her head and let out a sigh. When we parted that year, your cultivation was still weak. I didn't think that when we meet again today, you would actually reach such a level. I thought that you had already forgotten about our agreement, but a year ago, I received a message from you through a jade slip. Only then did I realize that you hadn't forgotten about it. You helped me leave this place. Wang naturally won't forget. However, due to some trivial matters, I came a bit late. Wang Lin smiled as he looked down at the giant lion that was running through the stars. Then he sat down in the lotus position on the side. When he decided to go to the ancient star system to destroy the outer realm's ancient celestial realm, he had already thought of a way out. Wang Lin knew that this trip would not be simple. Once he used up the power of the 2 arrows, the sovereign would kill him. Even if Wang Lin didn't only have the power of 2 arrows left, the outer realm was the 7-colored Taoist's domain. Once the 7-colored Taoist made a move, it would be difficult for Wang Lin to escape with his current cultivation level. Therefore, 1 year ago, when he was cultivating at the wheel formation, he used the jade that the woman gave him to send out a message. Using the jade as a medium, he reached an agreement with the woman he hadn't contacted in a long time. The reason he was looking for this woman's help was because through various clues and what he knew, Wang Lin was 60% confident that this woman was the missing first concubine. After a simple communication, the woman revealed her identity. As Wang Lin had guessed, she was indeed the first concubine of the celestial sovereign. I was once the first concubine of the 7 Tao sect's 7-colored celestial sovereign. I told you this when we talked. I also have another identity. I'm the little sister of the 7-colored celestial sovereign's Tao partner, Fan Shanmeng. My name is Fan Shanlu. The peerless beauty said softly. When we talked, you knew that this was just a cave, so I wouldn't hide anything from you. It is indeed like this. During the battle between the 2 suns, the 7-colored celestial sovereign viciously used my big sister as bait to obtain the treasure. Then he sealed the 7 Tao sect. Here, I can't trust anyone from the immortal astral continent. I was also injured by the 7-colored celestial sovereign, and my cultivation hadn't recovered until you appeared. There is no conflict of interest between us, we can cooperate. The woman softly said. You want to take the cultivators of the cave world to leave this place and go to the immortal astral continent. I'll help you with this. The immortal astral continent is a very mysterious place. It is too big and filled with war. There is rarely peace between the various sections. If you want to gain a foothold there, you must have a sect. Any place that is slightly better has already been occupied. To be honest, with your cultivation level, you won't be able to snatch a sect. The cave world is, after all, an illusion. Everything here is fake, and it is indeed fake. Since ancient times, I have rarely heard of people coming out from the cave world of the various sections. I need to tell you this in advance. Wang Lin silently pondered as he listened to the woman's words. But it is not that there are none. However, when you go to the immortal astral continent, you will have to pay a great price. You will have to bear the punishment of entering the immortal astral continent. I have heard a bit about this, but only after you reach void turbulent in the cave world can you have some confidence in passing the punishment. However, I can help you with this matter. The woman looked at Wang Lin and slowly spoke. I'm listening. Wang Lin's expression was calm without any fluctuations. When the woman saw this, she couldn't help but reveal a hint of appreciation. The woman pondered a bit and suddenly said, My elder sister is not dead. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he didn't speak. She is not here, she is in the immortal astral continent. It is very difficult to obtain a sect on the immortal astral continent, but if you kill the seven-colored celestial sovereign, the Seven Tao sect will be yours. My elder sister and I won't take any of it. The two of us are not from the Seven Tao sect, but core disciples of Shursan's sect in the eastern part of the immortal astral continent. Back then, the two of us were blind and our hearts were tied to the seven-colored celestial sovereign. The woman clenched her teeth and revealed a look of resentment. Even after you obtain the Seven Tao sect, if you want to continue cultivating, the two of us can introduce you to the Great Soul sect. As for the punishment of entering the immortal astral continent, I'll get my elder sister to ask teacher to help you enter the immortal astral continent so that the punishment will be reduced. Wang Lin silently pondered. A moment later, he slowly spoke. Aside from me, what about the other cultivators in the cave world? The beautiful woman was about to speak when her expression suddenly changed and she turned around. At the same time, Wang Lin's expression became gloomy and he turned around. Chapter 1693. The lions beneath them began to tremble violently. Terror appeared in their eyes, and as they trembled, they stopped in the darkness of the starry sky. Behind them, a seven-colored light flashed like starlight. From a distance, it looked as if the space had been torn apart and the seven-colored light had forced its way in. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he stepped forward without hesitation. His speed rumbled and in the blink of an eye, he began to teleport forward. Behind him, Fan Shanlu also didn't hesitate. She moved like a butterfly and closely followed behind Wang Lin. As she escaped, she raised her jade-like hand and waved it at the lion behind her. The lion immediately let out a roar and charged toward the seven-colored light as if it had gone mad. Fan Shanlu's eyes lit up and she muttered, "Blood sacrifice." At the instant he spoke, the lion was covered in a blood-red light. With a bang, its body exploded and turned into a bloody mess. Crimson fog was set off, and the fog churned and spread out in all directions. Sharp roars suddenly echoed in the galaxy from all directions. The auras of fierce beasts suddenly rose and rushed toward this place. Wang Lin used almost all of his strength and turned into a ray of light that broke through the void. His body would occasionally merge with the stars, and he moved even faster. Here, Fan Shanlu was a bit faster than Wang Lin. Her cultivation level was very high, and even though she was injured, she had suppressed it a lot over the years. She passed Wang Lin and didn't lead the way. Instead, she wanted to turn and fly in another direction. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he didn't hesitate to follow. However, just at this moment, a cold snort came from the void behind the two of them. There was no sound like thunder, but there was a shocking pressure and sound wave. At this moment, there were already more than 100 fierce beasts behind the two of them. They were attracted by the blood mist, but almost as soon as they appeared, they let out a cold snort and let out miserable screams. Their bodies were pushed back as if they had been hit by a powerful force. As they were knocked back, thunderous rumbles echoed, and the bodies of more than 100 fierce beasts exploded. A few drops of blood and pieces of flesh flew by Wang Lin, causing his expression to become even more gloomy. As the 100 fierce beasts collapsed, the seven-colored light pierced through their flesh and blood. The seven-colored Taoist calmly walked over with his hands behind his back. "Wang Lin, give me the Li Guang bow and arrow." His words were slow, but when they entered Wang Lin's ears, they caused his mind to tremble, and he coughed out blood. Fan Shanlu grabbed Wang Lin's arm. Her face was pale as she rushed forward with Wang Lin. "I remember you, you're this lord's first concubine. Why are you running after seeing this lord?" The seven-colored Taoist's gaze swept by and landed on Fan Shanlu. He waved his right hand and 9 red firebirds appeared before the seven-colored Taoist. These 9 firebirds weren't rosefinch, but the heat they gave off was something not even rosefinch could compare to. There was also the aura of a cultivation planet's soul coming from these 9 firebirds. What kind of firebirds were these? They were clearly 9 extremely rare burning cultivation planets that the seven-colored Taoist had refined. Or rather, they were 9 suns. At this moment, he waved his sleeve and the 9 firebirds flew into the air. They turned into 9 rays of fire and shot toward Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu. "You block them!" At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin could no longer hide his strength. He waved his right hand. Fan Shanlu didn't hesitate to use this force to jump back. Her hands formed a seal and pressed on her chest. She coughed out a mouthful of blood and let out a mournful cry. "Great Soul Tao, lead the soul to the underworld. Sacrifice my soul and form a soul to split a world." Fan Shanlu raised her right hand and reached at the void. The blood she had coughed out turned into a blood mist that entered her right hand. In an instant it turned into a blood-red blade. With this blade in hand, Fan Shanlu suddenly raised it and chopped down at the 9 firebirds. The blade collapsed and split into 9 pieces that flew toward the 9 firebirds to block them. Borrowing this time, Wang Lin's left hand reached out and the Li Guang bow appeared. His right hand pulled the bowstring and Wang Lin let out a roar. The veins on his forehead swelled, and there was a flash of golden light in his eyes as he pulled the bow. The sovereign's calculation for the Li Guang bow wouldn't be wrong. Wang Lin only had the power to fire 2 shots, but the sovereign didn't know that Wang Lin still had a drop of celestial blood. This drop of blood was something that Su Ligua and Lu Jinbiao had tricked from the madman. In the end, it was taken by Wang Lin. It was this extra drop of blood. Even though it didn't contain much blood, it was enough to make the sovereign miscalculate. There was a buzzing sound as the Li Guang bow was pulled and the arrow appeared. The moment it appeared, Wang Lin let go of the bow and a buzzing sound echoed. The bowstring bounced back and the arrow whistled through the air. At this instant, the sound of the arrow whistling through the air replaced all sounds in the world. The arrow passed by Fan Shanlu's ear and the wind it created caused her hair to fly into the air. It even cut off 8 strands of her hair. After flashing past him, the arrow directly collided with the 9 firebird. Rumble, 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 rumble. A powerful shockwave was pushed back. Fan Shanlu was hit by the shockwave and blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. She immediately retreated, but Wang Lin grabbed her arm. The two of them didn't even look at the power of the arrow before turning to leave. "My cave is 4 million kilometers ahead. There is a restriction there that can resist for a while." Fan Shanlu quickly sent a voice transmission. Wang Lin didn't say a word as he grabbed her arm and disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was already 2 million kilometers away. His face was pale as he rushed forward once more. "Is he the 7-colored celestial sovereign?" Wang Lin moved forward and didn't dare to stop, but his divine sense entered Fan Shanlu's mind. Yes and no. Before Fan Shanlu could finish speaking, a voice came from the starry sky behind them. "The old man is, of course, the 7-colored celestial sovereign. I originally didn't want to kill you, I just wanted to take back the bow and arrow. I'll give you one last chance. Give me the bow and arrow." In the distance, the seven-colored Taoist's figure slowly walked out. His expression didn't change at all. That arrow had no effect on him. However, Wang Lin didn't believe it. However, this was not the time to observe. If the seven-colored Taoist wanted to hide something, Wang Lin wouldn't be able to see through it. "Forget it. Since you want to die, then I'll help you." The seven-colored Taoist revealed a look of pity. He shook his head and raised his right hand to point at Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu. With this, a seven-colored crystal appeared at the tip of the seven-colored Taoist's finger. The moment the crystal appeared, it charged toward Wang Lin and Fan Shanlu. When it closed in, there was a thunderous bang and the crystal suddenly dissipated. Seven-colored light shrouded the surrounding 100,000 feet and directly wrapped around Wang Lin and Zhao Jiuge. From a distance, it wasn't seven-colored light wrapping around them, it was clearly the crystal that dissipated before. At this instant, the crystal around the two of them rapidly shrank. Cracking sounds echoed and intense pain came from Wang Lin's body. A powerful pressure came from all directions and wanted to completely crush his body. Fan Shanlu's face was pale. At this moment of danger, she raised her right hand and formed a seal. The seven-colored jade seal appeared once more and circled around her. She coughed out blood and it landed on the seal. "Big sister, help me!" Her voice was extremely mournful. The moment her voice echoed, the star system trembled as if a foreign aura had appeared out of thin air. At this moment, the immortal astral continent was a land of ice. From afar, the entire continent was covered in snow, and there were still snowflakes falling from the sky. The surrounding climate was enough to freeze all life to death. Even earls would find it difficult to survive here. In this frozen land there was an ice mountain, and inside the ice mountain sat a woman. This woman's appearance was exactly the same as Fan Shanlu. At that moment, the woman in the ice mountain suddenly opened her eyes and raised her right hand to point at the space between her eyebrows. With this, a seven-colored light came from between her eyebrows. At the same time, in the rift in the cloud sea, a burst of seven-colored light came from between Fan Shanlu's eyebrows. It was as if an external force had entered her body through an indescribable method. At this moment, a thunderous rumble echoed. With this force, the seven-colored palm print in front of Fan Shanlu shone brightly and expanded with a bang. It grew to thousands of feet, 10,000 feet, and even tens of thousands of feet. It forcibly broke the shrinking crystal, and as rumbles echoed in the air, the crystal that trapped the two of them collapsed. The moment it collapsed, the seven-colored seal shot out toward the seven-colored Taoist. "I've used my full power, take me away." Fan Shanlu's eyes dimmed and she staggered back. Wang Lin grabbed her and they disappeared without a trace. When they reappeared, they were 2 million kilometers away. In front of him, there was a huge ship the size of a mortal city. This ship was purple in color and looked very spectacular. There were layers of protection around it, covering the entire area and emitting an extremely powerful pressure. The flag on the ship moved without any wind and turned into a ghostly face. Wang Lin held Fan Shanlu and charged into the layers of protection. There was a flash of light from Fan Shanlu's body, and the two of them safely entered without any obstruction. "Who the hell is he?" Wang Lin landed on the deck of the ship and asked Fan Shanlu. This matter had been suppressed in his heart for far too long. During the final battle in the cave, Wang Lin wouldn't retreat. He thanked Archicad, Huang He Yao Yao, and Medusa for waiting for the right moment. At the critical moment, they bravely killed the Alliance leader and followed Wang Lin to break through the cage of fate with their third-step cultivators. Air Gen felt very lucky and gifted each of them a seven-colored divine spear to express his gratitude. In addition, due to something happening at the last YY gathering, I wasn't able to accompany everyone to the fullest. Let's gather again tonight at 8 p.m. This time, I'm going all out. Jen will accompany everyone until midnight and play to the fullest, but don't force me to sing. This book is provided by Chidien by Jen. Chapter 1694. Fan Shanlu's face was pale and she didn't answer Wang Lin's words. Instead, she staggered a few steps and sat down. Her hands formed a seal, and she closed her eyes to cultivate. 7-colored light shined from her body, and a dazzling 7-colored light gathered between her eyebrows. A vortex was faintly visible, and not only did the vortex give off 7-colored light, it also gave off a cold aura. As soon as the cold air appeared on the huge ship, a layer of frost immediately formed on the deck with a cracking sound, and white fog spread out in all directions. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he retreated a few steps. However, just at this moment, Fan Shanlu's face turned red and she coughed out a mouthful of blood. The blood turned into ice and scattered on the deck. Shortly after, the vortex between her eyebrows expanded and rapidly rotated. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He saw a face appear inside the vortex between Fan Shanlu's eyebrows. It was a face that was almost exactly the same as Fan Shanlu's, and it was a beautiful face that could make one's heart pound. The moment the face appeared, pain appeared on Fan Shanlu's face. Veins popped up on her face and she became ferocious. At the same time, she opened her eyes, and the vortex between her eyebrows collapsed. It rushed back into her head and disappeared with the other beautiful face. A miserable scream echoed and blood flowed out from the corner of Fan Shanlu's mouth. Her hands formed a seal, and she closed her eyes to cultivate again. All of this entered Wang Lin's eyes and caused Wang Lin to become extremely serious. He vaguely saw something, but he wasn't sure. While pondering, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out and shrouded the giant ship. As his divine sense spread out, everything about the ship appeared in his mind. This ship was very large, and there were many restrictions that even Wang Lin found strange. As his divine sense spread out, Wang Lin was shocked to find that the entire ship was made of restrictions. Even the deck under his feet was the same. It could be said that this ship was like a giant restriction formation. The layers of protection around the ship were formed by the restrictions on the ship. They overlapped each other, and it would be very difficult to break them. When Wang Lin's divine sense swept by, he found the center of the restrictions inside the ship. It was the sail with the ghostly face on the pole. The ghostly face inside the sail seemed to be alive. When Wang Lin's divine sense swept by, the ghostly face's eyes turned and stared at Wang Lin. Although it was silent, when the ghostly face stared at him, Wang Lin seemed to hear a ferocious roar in his mind. This roar penetrated his mind and caused Wang Lin's expression to change. He retreated a few steps. Time restriction, life and death restriction, auspicious soul restriction, annihilation restriction. Not only does this ship have these 4 restrictions, but there are also restrictions that I have never seen before. If I have time to master all of these restrictions and study them thoroughly, then it's very likely that I'll be able to use the power of the restriction essence. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. His restrictions were extraordinary, but unfortunately, although he had seen many restrictions in this cave world, most of them were incomplete. If he tried to deduce them by force, it would be like building a car behind closed doors. Not only would it waste a lot of time, it would also be very difficult to obtain anything. But now, things were different. The restrictive spells on this ship had opened up many paths for Wang Lin. If he could understand all of them, he would be able to deduce the origin of restrictive spells. After Wang Lin observed the restrictions here for a moment, 7-colored light appeared in the darkness outside the ship, dispelling the darkness. The 7-colored Taoist walked out. This ship is a bit familiar. The 7-colored Taoist stood outside the ship and looked at it with a look of reminiscence. However, no matter how much he thought, he couldn't remember where he had seen this ship before. I didn't obtain my memories, so there are many things I can't remember. The 7-colored Taoist silently pondered for a moment before shaking his head and waving his right hand. A thunderous rumble echoed. The deck of the ship shook violently and the thunderous rumbles turned into muffled sounds. Wang Lin turned to look outside. Through the layers of light, Wang Lin clearly saw the seven-colored Taoist outside. He also saw the seven-colored Taoist, who was still calm, as if nothing in the world could cause his expression to change. Thunderous rumbles echoed once more. As the deck shook, the outermost layer of light collapsed. Under the impact of the collapse, the giant ship was pushed back hundreds of feet. Although the restrictions on this ship are powerful, only 2 of them have been activated. With just 2, I fear they won't be able to stop the seven-colored Taoist. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This was a life-and-death crisis. The seven-colored Taoist might not kill him for some reason, but he would take away the Liguang bow and arrow. Wang Lin could not hand over the Liguang bow and arrow. It was very important. It was something he could rely on to deal with these arcane void cultivators. Most importantly, Wang Lin wouldn't let the other party choose his life. He didn't want his life to be controlled by the other party. Just as Wang Lin's eyes lit up, a cold voice came from behind him. Even at his peak, this soul devil ship can stop him for dozens of hours. Fan Shanlu slowly opened her eyes. Even though the restrictions on this ship have been activated less than 3 times, he is not the same as before. He can stop him for 3 days. Fan Shanlu's eyes were cold as she stared at the seven-colored Taoist outside the ship. There was a complicated sense of hatred in her eyes. Wang Lin turned to look at the woman. After a long time, he suddenly said, "You're not Fan Shanlu." The woman withdrew her gaze from outside the ship and looked at Wang Lin. A moment later, there was a hint of admiration in her eyes and she nodded. "You are indeed worthy of being chosen by my little sister. I'm indeed not Fan Shanlu, I'm her big sister, Fan Shanmeng." Wang Lin narrowed his eyes and carefully looked at her, but he didn't speak. "You should know my identity from my little sister. I'm the seven-colored Celestial Sovereign's Tao partner." As the woman spoke, she raised her right hand and waved it at the light curtain. 7 colored light surrounded her right hand and shot toward the light curtain. After fusing with the light curtain, a powerful aura spread out from the ship. The protective light curtain immediately became even thicker, completely blocking out the rumbling outside. By the time it reached his ears, it was almost undetectable. "Since you're cooperating with us, sisters, I won't hide it from you." Back then, Grand Empyrean Dao Yi and Grand Empyrean Xian Luo appeared near my 7 Dao sect. Their cultivation levels were unparalleled, and they were fighting for a storage fragment that somehow flew out from the immemorial God realm. It was impossible for the 7-colored Taoist and I to participate in this, and we definitely wouldn't obtain any benefit. However, in the end we were fated. Even now, I still don't understand how Grand Empyrean Dao Yi and Grand Empyrean Xian Luo didn't notice that a piece was missing. The missing piece fell into the hands of the 7-colored Taoist, and it was because of this that I was able to see his heart. In order to cover up the aura of the fragment, I gave up all my cultivation to suppress him and quickly returned to the 7 Dao sect. But along the way, he plotted against me. I wasn't on guard at all, and because of his plot, I lost all of my cultivation base. He used it to suppress that fragment, and then destroyed my body and soul with a single palm strike. He did this to silence me, because he was worried that news of this would spread. He also wanted to use my cultivation to open the fragment. After all, this fragment came from the Taiji God realm, so it was extremely difficult to open it. However, I didn't die. I was a core disciple of the Great Soul Sect, and my life soul was with Teacher. Teacher used the reincarnation spell to quickly reincarnate me. There were people in the 7 Dao sect who listened to me, and my little sister was there. I borrowed Teacher's power to tell my little sister all of this, and that's why the battle in the cave world happened. The woman slowly spoke of the past. I knew that he must have opened the fragment and obtained what was inside. I knew that he lured ancient Dao Yimo to seal the Seven Dao sect, but how could I let him succeed? I told this to Lien Daofei, who had always coveted my beauty, and lured him to the Seven Dao sect. With my little sister's help, most of his concubines betrayed him, and this caused the Seven Dao sect disciples in the cave world to split. That's how the inner and outer realms came into existence. The woman paused and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was calm and didn't change at all. He had many speculations in his heart, and after hearing what she said, he only believed some of them but not all of them. Also, many of the things she said seemed to be complete, but in truth, there were still some clues. Wang Lin pondered a bit and then slowly said, "What kind of place is the Taiji God realm?" There is a legend on the immemorial astral continent that the immemorial God realm has opened 9 times. Every time it opens, the one who obtains the fortune becomes a grand empyrean. Until now, it has opened 9 times, and there have indeed been 9 suns. The 10th time it opens, perhaps a 10th sun will appear. As for what the immemorial God realm is, I don't know. You said that the 7-colored Taoist is very different from the 7-colored Taoist from back then. I need an answer to this. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked at the blurry figure that was constantly shattering the light. The woman pondered a bit and then suddenly said, "He is not complete. I don't know how he got Li Guang to help him kill ancient Dao Yimo, but I know that when Lien Daofei broke into the cave according to the method I told him, a fierce battle occurred inside. This battle happened not long after ancient Dao died. The 7-colored Taoist was injured and went into closed-door cultivation to study what he obtained from the fragment. I only found out later that there was a heavenly Dao inside the fragment." Chapter 1695. I didn't see that battle with my own eyes, it was all in my little sister's memory. Lien Daofei's cultivation was heaven-defying, and he single-handedly defeated the 4 generals and many 7 Dao sect disciples. With overwhelming strength, he seriously injured everyone. At this time, my little sister and the celestial imperial concubines rebelled and helped Lien Daofei. At the most chaotic moment, Lien Daofei passed by everyone and went to where the 7-colored Daofei was in closed-door cultivation. He forced the 7-colored Daofei to come out and fight him. That battle was very intense. The 7-colored Daofei was already injured, so he summoned the heavenly Dao stored in the cave world. He used the heavenly Dao Devour spell to resist Lien Daofei. In the end, Lien Daofei was seriously injured and was devoured by the heavenly Dao. No one knew where he went, but with his immortal celestial body, he shouldn't have died. Right now, he was still in the cave world. However, the heavenly Dao was also seriously injured and on the verge of death. Countless drops of heavenly Dao blood scattered before dissipating. However, since the cave world could still produce life, it meant that the heavenly Dao wasn't dead. The 7-colored Taoist's body collapsed and turned into 3 primary souls. One of them contained his life spells and became the him outside the ship. The other soul contained his domain and essence. It escaped after the battle and should be in the inner realm. The last soul contained all of the 7-colored Taoist's memories, including how to summon the heavenly Dao and where he hid the fragment he obtained. This final soul had no essence, no divine abilities, and even now, no one knew where it was. Perhaps it was a cultivator, perhaps it was a mortal, perhaps it was a wild beast. Perhaps it had been reincarnated countless times, and perhaps it had forgotten its own identity. Its memories had always been dormant. The 7-colored Taoist was one of the 3 souls that had inherited its spells. He was the most powerful and had forced the celestial imperial concubines to obey him. He had even subdued Lien Daofei's palm-print little boy servant. Over countless years, he had been searching for the 3rd soul. He gradually formed his own will. If he found the 3rd soul and devoured it, then he would obtain the 2nd soul that had mastered the essence domain. Then he would become the new 7-colored Taoist. Similarly, the second soul in the inner realm was also searching. No matter which of the two souls found the third soul, they could become the leader. Because the third soul controlled the memories, without this important third soul, the other souls wouldn't be able to fuse and devour each other. As a result, the seven-colored Taoist and the second soul couldn't devour each other. Not to mention them, even the other fragments that were scattered when the seven colors collapsed were unable to devour each other. After seven-colored died, in addition to the three main souls, there were also seven fragments. These seven fragments changed identities over the countless years of reincarnation, but their souls still belonged to seven-colored. The seven-colored Taoist and the second soul completely ignore these seven fragments. Even if they find them, they can't devour them, so it's better to give them freedom and let them cultivate on their own. Once they find the third soul and devour it, the other seven fragments will be attracted to form the complete seven-colored celestial sovereign. All of this is the secret of this cave world. A huge wave was set off in Wang Lin's heart. When the woman said what had happened on the immortal astral continent, Wang Lin could remain calm. However, after hearing this, he took a deep breath and retreated a few steps. His expression changed greatly. He finally knew what the third soul was. He finally knew why the seven-colored Taoist outside the ship was different from the statue he had obtained. He also finally knew why the woman in silver in the storage space didn't mean she had opened the door. This door was likely the door to the cave. The door to the cave wasn't opened by anyone, but the woman before him had told the madman how to open it. There might be some things that didn't match up, but Wang Lin hadn't personally seen them, so he could only imagine the scenes he had made up through the woman's words. The truth might be different, but it was likely this was the truth. 3 souls and 7 fragments. So it was the 3 souls and 7 fragments. The sovereign said that the old devil Jean should have died. When they met in the cloud sea, the sovereign's shock didn't seem fake. Even he didn't know. Also, in the seven-colored realm in the brilliant void, when I went to save Shimizu, the seven-colored Taoist also appeared. He seemed to admire the old devil Jean a lot. He said that the old devil Jean was an anomaly. Could it be that the old devil Jean was the second soul Bouet? Only then would he be qualified to confront the seven-colored Taoist. Or it could be said that there is another soul inside the old devil Jean, and that soul is the second soul of the celestial sovereign. This must be the case. The war between the inner and outer realms is between the old devil Jean and the seven-colored Taoist. Their goal is to find the third soul during this endless slaughter. Then who is the third soul? Wang Lin's mind trembled. This news was like a thunderous rumble that tore open all the fog in his mind and allowed him to see the true nature of the matter. There is also the 7 fragments. When I was in the seven-colored realm in the brilliant void, I noticed that the seven-colored Taoist looked at Shimizu as if he was looking at himself. I felt it was strange, but I couldn't guess the answer. Now the answer is obvious. Senior brother Shimizu is one of the 7 fragments of the celestial sovereign. No wonder his life was miserable, no wonder he was able to obtain the slaughter essence. No wonder he was so powerful the moment he reached the 3rd step. I only know of Shimizu. Who are the other 6? Wang Lin, am I? Wang Lin silently pondered, and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. My goal is to kill the seven-colored Taoist. Only by killing him can I get rid of my resentment. Your goal is the same as mine, and our cooperation will be a win-win situation. I can ask teacher to let you enter the immortal astral continent and reduce your punishment. I can also give up on the 7 Tao sect. Once the seven-colored Taoist dies, the 7 Tao sect will belong to you. As for the other people in the cave world, they can't leave because they can't withstand the punishment of entering the immortal astral continent. Not even my teacher can do this. However, I still have a method. Although they can't enter the immortal astral continent normally, they can reincarnate. Use the reincarnation method to have their souls follow you to the immortal astral continent to reincarnate. This way, once their memories awaken, you can search for them one by one. This is the best method I can think of. Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time. He looked up at the woman and began to ponder. Even if we cooperate with the seven-colored Taoist and old Devil Jean's cultivation, we can't resist them. How can we kill them? After hearing Wang Lin's words, the woman smiled. It has to be said that this woman was extremely beautiful. When she smiled, she was like a flower. Her beauty was unmatched, and her charm could make one's heart skip a beat. I have two methods to kill the seven-colored Taoist. The first method is because this cave world has been sealed for countless years and a lot of places were destroyed in the war back then. I can't come in myself and can only use my little sister's body to form a sliver of origin soul. However, if I can lead the seven-colored Taoist or the second soul to the core of the cave, which is the entrance of the cave, I will be able to condense even more origin souls. That way, with my cultivation, I will be able to kill. This method is not perfect, but I have a second method. The focus of this second method is the third soul. I'll teach you a spell. If you can find the third soul, use this spell to devour it and completely erase its existence. From then on, you will be the third soul. I'll help you devour the seven-colored Taoist and the second soul, then you can absorb the remaining 7 fragments. From then on, you will be the seven-colored Taoist. My little sister and I can stay with you. She will be your concubine and I will become your Tao partner. Everything will return to its original trajectory. If you have other women, they can also become your concubine. Even on the immortal astral continent, if you find a female cultivator you like, I can help you capture them and we can cultivate together. The seven-colored Taoist was like this back then. I helped him capture a lot of female cultivators. Aside from my little sister, I helped him find most of his 8 concubines. With the help of my teacher, our souls will fuse and our cultivation levels will increase. With the immemorial God realm fragment you obtained, we will be able to roam freely on the immortal astral continent. It is better than being stuck in a mere cave world. The woman revealed a charming smile as she spoke to Wang Lin. Wang Lin calmed his mind and looked at the woman. For some reason, he thought of something he had encountered a long time ago. That matter left a deep impression on Wang Lin. Even now, more than 1,000 years had passed, he still couldn't forget it. In the demon spirit land, Wang Lin had met the sovereign's daughter, the Tattoo clan's divine ancestor. She was in an extremely miserable state. Her eyes had been dug out and she was suppressed inside Qing Lin's cave. Her resentment was monstrous. This woman's resentment toward Qing Lin was very similar to the person before him. The Tattoo clan's divine ancestor's words echoed in Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin originally believed it, but when he heard Qing Lin's words, he was confused. He didn't know who was right here. We'll talk about this later. The most important thing right now is how to avoid the seven-colored Taoist's pursuit. Wang Lin sneered in his heart when he heard the woman's words. However, he was very cunning and wouldn't just reject her like this. After all, this was the beginning of their cooperation. Killing the seven-colored Taoist would benefit everyone. This matter is not difficult. You and I will exchange our oath of blood. After confirming our cooperation, I'll control this ship to send you safely out. The woman faintly smiled. Oath of blood. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He suddenly understood that she had led him here and said those words. There must be a deeper meaning behind this. This matter is not urgent. Where is the altar you spoke of? Tomorrow it will erupt. I'm begging for monthly votes. To be continued. Chapter 1696. When the seven-colored celestial sovereign's Tao partner, Fan Shanmeng, heard Wang Lin's words, her eyes shined an undetectable amount. She chuckled and was about to speak, but just at this moment, the Soul Devil ship trembled violently. The tremors came from the outside world, and as the wind howled, it caused the Soul Demon's ship to tremble. At the same time, loud rumbles echoed in the air, and the ship was swept back several thousand feet. This sudden change caused Fan Shanming's expression to change, and she looked outside the Soul Devil ship. Wang Lin jumped 3 inches off the deck of the ship and floated with the ship. His eyes shined brightly as he looked outside the ship. 7 colored lights surrounded the Soul Devil ship, and the 7-colored Taoist continued to wave his hands. Every time he waved his sleeves, a gust of wind would blow at the countless layers of light barriers around the Soul Devil ship. Sounds of collisions echoed as layers of light barriers collapsed. In the blink of an eye, a small portion of the light barriers had shattered. Fan Shanming let out a cold snort and withdrew her gaze. She looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "No matter, he won't be able to break it without a few days. The altar you speak of is something my little sister accidentally obtained here. There is an ancient power inside the altar that she can't break with her cultivation, and there is no need for her to do so. However, it is different for you. If you can break the protection of the altar and obtain the inheritance inside, your cultivation level will increase. This altar is in the last layer of the Soul Devil ship. Do you want to go now? However, you only have 3 days of time. During these 3 days, I can control the ship to escape and deal with the 7-colored Taoist, but at most 3 days. 3 days is not enough." Wang Lin frowned. At this moment, the Soul Devil ship trembled once more. The 7-colored Taoist spell became even stronger, and the Soul Devil ship looked like it was going to collapse. Wang Lin didn't reveal any of his thoughts and slowly said, "There is no need to rush the matter of the blood oath. Wang is very interested in your Soul Devil ship. 3 days should be enough for me to study it." "You want to study the restrictions on the ship?" Fan Shanming was startled. Whether it was her or her little sister, they didn't have a complete understanding of Wang Lin and didn't know Wang Lin's attainment in restrictions. Hearing Wang Lin's words, Fan Shanming had a strange expression and spoke after a long time. "This Soul Devil ship is a treasure of my great soul sect. Although it is not high quality, it is at least mid-quality. Forget you, even I am not confident I can understand such a treasure. Fellow Taoist Wang, I advise you to use these 3 days to go to the altar. If you can absorb the power inside, then with your powerful fleshly body, your cultivation base will increase. This child is a cave world cultivator, and he wants to try to study of my great soul sect, King, Soul, and King. Lin, Wang, and Soul, and King, Lin, and. Chun, S, and he, Tian, and God, and A, and Lin, he, to Chun, A, to, and he, and King Chun. He is simply overestimating himself. Oh? Could it be that fellow cultivator is worried that Wang will take over the ship after studying it?" Wang Lin revealed a smile that wasn't a smile as he looked at Fan Shanming. Wang Lin already knew what she was thinking. Aside from Tian Yunzi, Wang Lin had a clear understanding of everyone else. The 2 sisters obviously knew that the 7-colored Taoist would chase after them, so after delaying for a bit, they lured Wang Lin onto the Soul Devil ship. Using the boat as a hidden threat and the 7-colored Taoist outside to pressure them on the surface, even though it wasn't a threat at all, it was much more effective than a threat. In this situation, it seemed like Wang Lin could only listen to the other party's suggestion and exchange the oath of blood. There was no other way. As a result, Wang Lin was in a completely passive position, and the other party had the initiative. In truth, it was as Wang Lin thought. Fan Shanming and her sister had the same plan. If it was someone else other than Wang Lin, they would have no choice but to listen and temporarily avoid this danger. However, with Wang Lin's intelligence, he wouldn't easily believe everything the other party said. He liked to control everything in his own hands, the feeling of controlling his own life. At this moment, the Soul Devil ship was being controlled by the other party. Even if Wang Lin went to the altar, everything would be under the other party's surveillance. It was an exaggeration to say that Wang Lin didn't feel safe inside the other party's treasure. How could Wang Lin give up so easily? Although his cultivation level was high, he was also very cunning. There was a hidden meaning behind his words. If he could really comprehend the Soul Devil ship and gain control over it, not only would he be able to solve the problem of the seven-colored Taoist, but he would also be able to solve the other party's trap. Fan Shanming's expression froze, but she quickly returned to normal. She smiled and spoke softly. She faintly smiled and softly said, "Wang Dao, you must be joking. Since you're so confident, then you can study the ship. This little girl will wait for you." Although she said this, she was sneering in her heart. She didn't think Wang Lin was qualified. Wang Lin still had a smile that wasn't a smile on his face as he slowly said, "Fellow cultivator seems to be a bit unhappy, but fellow cultivator can rest assured. Even if Wang really understands the restrictions on the ship, he won't take it for himself and will return it to fellow cultivator." Fan Shanming calmly looked at Wang Lin and smiled. "Fellow cultivator is so confident. That's fine. If you can truly comprehend the restrictions on the ship, then I'll give it to you. However, if you can't, then don't waste any more time. Let's exchange our blood oath and I'll send you to a safe place." "No problem, Wang, let's take a look first. If I don't succeed in the end, I'll give up." This was what Wang Lin was waiting for. His expression was calm and he didn't even look at Fan Shanming. He walked to the side and sat down. His divine sense slowly spread out and he began to study the deck under his feet. Fan Shanming hid the coldness in her eyes. She had to obtain Wang Lin's blood oath. With this blood, she could ask her teacher for help to activate a strange spell. Once she used this spell, she was confident she could turn Wang Lin into her puppet. This puppet would be an important way for her to kill the seven-colored Taoist. Although this person is very cautious, I don't believe he can completely master the restrictions on the Soul Devil ship. He may have studied restrictions, but he is just a puppet cultivator of the cave world, a frog at the bottom of a well. How could such an ant study the restrictions on the immortal astral continent? This matter is simply ridiculous. Let's see how he studies it. If he fails and doesn't give me the blood oath, I still have other methods to deal with him. The coldness in Fan Shanming's eyes dissipated, and she revealed a gentle smile as she looked at Wang Lin. As Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, the luck star between his eyebrows flashed and formed a vortex. The devil star in his left and right eyes also appeared. The three luck star rotated and fused together to form ancient Tao power. The moment this ancient Tao power appeared, the vague figure of the ancient Tao appeared above Wang Lin's body. The moment the ancient Tao shadow appeared, it shrouded Wang Lin's body and he also sat down. This was a shocking scene. The ancient Tao shadow had changed in size. At this moment, it was only a few 100 feet wide around Wang Lin, but it still looked like a small mountain. Wang Lin was completely protected by the shadow. When Fan Shanming saw this, she frowned. This person is a bit too careful. Using the ancient Tao power to protect his body, Wang Lin relaxed and spread out his divine sense into the deck below him. When his divine sense spread out, an invisible force repelled and prevented Wang Lin's divine sense from going deeper. This invisible force was formed by the restrictions on the deck. This allowed Wang Lin to see from the outside, but he couldn't see the inside of the restrictions. Fan Shanming sneered in her heart. This Soul Devil ship was a treasure of the Great Soul Sect, so she knew a lot about it. Not to mention anything else, just the resistance from this restriction. If one doesn't have a very high understanding of restrictions, then... Just as she thought of this, she was startled. Her eyes shined brightly as she stared at Wang Lin. Inside the ancient Tao shadow, Wang Lin waved his right hand and countless restrictions appeared. 10, 100, 1,000. In the blink of an eye, nearly 1,000,000 restrictions appeared around him. These restrictions overlapped with each other and gave off a dazzling light. In an instant, 1,000,000 restrictions fused into one, and Wang Lin pressed his palm against the deck beside him. This palm caused the deck to tremble, and even the entire Soul Devil ship trembled. A ripple spread from where Wang Lin's hand pressed down. It passed by Fan Shanmeng in the blink of an eye and covered nearly 30% of the deck. As the ripple spread, the deck became completely different to Wang Lin's eyes. It was as if the clothes had been taken off and the source of the ship was revealed. His gaze swept by. There was no deck on the Soul Devil ship. The ground was clearly formed by restrictions gathered together. These restrictions were completely different. They shrouded the area and gave off a faint, dark light. He actually broke the protection of the deck. He doesn't just know some restrictions, his mastery of restrictions has reached a very high position. Fan Shanming gasped, and her gaze toward Wang Lin changed. No wonder he is so confident. However, even if his mastery of restrictions is extraordinary, so what? The restrictions in the cave world are only a part of the restrictions on the immortal astral continent. It is impossible for him to completely master them in just 3 short days. Fan Shanmeng silently pondered for a moment and then sneered. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he raised his right hand and pointed at one of the restrictions. The light of deduction flashed in his eyes. This deck is only the outer layer of the restrictions on the Soul Devil ship, but there are thousands of restrictions on it. 3 days is indeed a bit rushed. While the monthly votes were being overtaken, some people thought Lin Chiue was going to lose. I don't know what will happen in the end. Let's erupt and send the first one. Chapter 1697. Wang Lin calmed his mind. The sound of the 7-colored Taoist breaking the restriction seemed to have been isolated. He was completely immersed in studying the restriction. Just at that moment, a strange gust of wind appeared. That wind blew onto the pole of the Soul Demon ship and lifted the sail, causing the ghostly faces on the sail to reveal demonic glints in their eyes. This ghostly face seemed to stare at Wang Lin and revealed a strange smile, as if it was alive. Wang Lin frowned and felt a sense of uneasiness in his heart. He couldn't calm down. He looked up and his gaze fell on the sail's ghostly face. Their gazes met. A moment later, Wang Lin gradually calmed down. He lowered his head and immersed himself in studying the restriction once more. The restrictions under Wang Lin's feet gradually lit up. Ripples spread across the deck and into the distance. Of the 4 great restrictions, I know the most about the annihilation restriction. The life and death restriction and the time restriction are also passable. Only the auspicious soul restriction is something I haven't seen much of. I only saw the gigantic Yong in the Fallen Land. However, there are many ancient soul restrictions on this deck. As Wang Lin pondered, the deduction in his eyes became even stronger. His right hand pointed at a restriction rune. This rune was a miniature ancient soul restriction. There were faint roars coming from it. As Wang Lin's gaze swept by, he could vaguely see a giant python inside the restriction. This python was extremely ferocious and kept roaring at Wang Lin as if it wanted to rush out and devour Wang Lin. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 6 hours had passed. During these 6 hours, the restriction light screen outside the ship continued to rumble and flicker violently. Faint rays of 7-colored light seemed to penetrate through and shine on the deck. Fan Shanming's eyes gradually became cold as she stared at Wang Lin. The shock from before had completely calmed down. From her point of view, Wang Lin had reached a bottleneck and hadn't moved for 6 hours. How can this Soul Devil ship be so easy to study? Earlier, this person was already at his limit when he opened the restriction on the deck, but now he wants to break the restriction on the ship. Wang Lin, Wang Lin, you are too arrogant. Fan Shanming's expression was calm, and she couldn't see the sneer in her heart. Fellow Taoist Wang, it has already been 6 hours. If you go to the cotton altar now, you might still be able to make it. Fan Shanming said softly. Wang Lin turned a deaf ear to her, as if he hadn't heard her at all. He continued to stare at the restriction on his right hand, and the deduction in his eyes became even more intense. Auspicious soul restriction. Use the soul as a guide and fuse it into the restriction, causing the restriction to become alive. This way, it can change constantly, and the stronger the sealed soul, the more powerful the restriction will be. This restriction isn't difficult. At the 10th hour, Wang Lin suddenly closed his eyes and pointed at the restriction rune with his right hand. With this, the restriction rune trembled and collapsed with a bang. The moment it collapsed, an illusory python turned into a ray of black smoke and shot out. However, before it could spread far, Wang Lin caught it with his right hand and squeezed it. The black smoke immediately disintegrated, but it didn't dissipate. Instead, when Wang Lin formed a seal with his right hand and pointed, the black smoke turned back into a restriction and returned to its original spot. This is the first one. Wang Lin opened his eyes and looked at the restriction rune on the deck that he had studied and understood. His expression was calm as he raised his head to look at Fan Shanmeng. There's no rush. There's still enough time. Fan Shanmeng frowned. Although Wang Lin had broken one restriction rune, the number of restriction runes on the deck was almost unimaginable. Even so, they were only on the periphery. There were still restrictions inside the Soul Demon ship. 10 hours to break one. At this speed, I'm afraid that even after 3 days, fellow Taoist will only be able to break a dozen or so. Before Fan Shanmeng could finish speaking, popping sounds came from around Wang Lin. She was dumbfounded when she saw Wang Lin wave his right hand, and 9 restrictions on the deck collapsed. After turning into black smoke, they reformed into new restrictions that landed in their original spot. This is... Fan Shanmeng sucked in a deep breath. However, before she could completely inhale, her eyes bulged, and a look of disbelief appeared on them. Wang Lin waved his right hand again. Booming sounds echoed in the air, and the runic restrictions on the deck collapsed one after another. 80, hundreds, thousands, and in the end tens of thousands of them exploded. The black smoke they released turned into a black storm that swept up the deck and swept through the area. In just a few breaths, there were no longer any restrictions within 1,000 feet around Wang Lin. The only thing left was the black storm. In the end, the storm shattered into pieces and turned back into runic symbols that landed in their original spots. That was when Fan Shanmeng's shock began. I've embarrassed myself in front of fellow Taoist. Wang Lin smiled faintly. Fan Shanmeng sucked in a deep breath and forced out a smile. She nodded and said, Fellow Taoist, your attainments in restrictions are indeed extraordinary. However, there are tens of millions of restrictions on the deck, and fellow Taoist has finally broken 100 of them. It's quite rare, but... Wang Lin raised his right hand and the destruction restriction appeared in his hand. His eyes shone brightly, causing Fan Shanmeng to pause for a moment. At that moment, the destruction restriction in Wang Lin's hand suddenly flashed and turned into a black light that spread across the entire deck. Booming sounds rang out again, and all the annihilation hexes on the deck trembled and collapsed at the same time. Among the tens of millions of hexes, just the annihilation hexes numbered in the millions. Now that they all collapsed, the Soul Devil ship trembled violently. At the same time, the life and death restrictions and the time restrictions appeared in Wang Lin's right hand and swept across the entire deck. Booming sounds rang out continuously as black gas rose into the sky. In the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, countless restrictions collapsed and turned into black gas. The black gas swirled around. Even Taoist Kai, who was outside the ship, narrowed his eyes and looked over carefully. There was no need to even mention Fan Shanmeng, whose vision was blocked by the black gas. She stared blankly at all of this, and her mind instantly went blank. 10 hours. How is this possible? Even though the restrictions on the deck are only the outer layer, it's impossible for someone to completely break them in 5 hours. Furthermore, he didn't just break the restrictions on the deck. After breaking the restriction, He reversed it and controlled it. This. Amidst the booming sounds, the black gas gradually dissipated and turned into restrictions that fell onto the deck. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the tens of millions of restrictions on the deck belonged to Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He raised his right hand and 4 restrictions floated above it. These 4 restrictions were very different. They were the forms of the 4 great restrictions. Breaking the restrictions on the deck wasn't difficult for Wang Lin. What was difficult was that he wanted to learn the ancient soul restriction. In those 10 hours, it looked like he was only studying one restriction, but in truth, as long as he finished studying that restriction, he would be able to comprehend the ancient flag restriction. After all, before this, Wang Lin wasn't completely ignorant about the ancient soul restriction. Wang Lin had studied the ancient soul restriction in the Fallen Land before. However, although that restriction looked complete, it still had many flaws. It was these flaws that affected Wang Lin's comprehension. However, the ancient soul restriction on the deck was different. It was extremely complete. The current Wang Lin was no longer the same person who had studied restrictions for many years on Restriction Mountain. The current Wang Lin was at the mid-stage of Spirit Void and had 6 essences. With his comprehension and understanding of restrictions, 10 hours was enough for him to understand everything. Wang Lin stood up and waved his right hand. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and all the remaining restrictions on the deck collapsed. This included the auspicious soul restriction and some arcane armament restrictions that Wang Lin had never seen before. He didn't have the time to completely understand all the restrictions he had never seen before. He only needed to look at them and memorize them. After gaining some knowledge, he would destroy them by force. This method might make the power of the restrictions on the deck weaker, but it would allow Wang Lin to quickly open a gap in the restrictions on the Soul Devil ship. Thunderous rumbles echoed. While Fan Shanmeng was shocked, all the restrictions on the deck were controlled by Wang Lin. Standing on the deck, Wang Lin was the owner of the deck. His eyes revealed a strange light as he looked at Fan Shanmeng. This ship has 9 layers of restrictions. The deck is the first layer, and there are 8 more layers below. Fellow cultivator, you said that if Wang breaks the restrictions, you will give me this ship? Fan Shanmeng's face was slightly pale. When the first layer of the Soul Demon ship's restriction was broken, she clearly found that a part of her control over the ship had been stolen. It was as if a treasure had 2 owners. She didn't expect such a drastic change to occur in just 5 hours. Seeing that the other party didn't speak, Wang Lin smiled and shook his head. His body flickered and disappeared from the deck. When he reappeared, he was on the second deck of the Soul Devil ship. Staring at the spot where Wang Lin disappeared, Fan Shanmeng's eyes became cold. So what if he broke the first layer? The restrictions on the ship become more difficult the further you go. I don't believe that a mere Polypus army cultivator from the cave world can completely control the Soul Devil ship. Time passed. 1 hour, 4 hours, 3 days. In the blink of an eye, 14 hours had passed. A day quickly passed. The 7-colored light outside the ship became even more dazzling, and the Soul Devil ship trembled even more violently. More than half of the light barrier had been broken by the 7-colored Taoist. Just as the 14 hours passed, a shocking aura came from the second deck, and the Soul Devil ship trembled violently. Impossible! Fan Shanmeng stood up, and the shock in her eyes couldn't be hidden. At this moment, another part of her control over the Soul Devil ship had been stolen. Because her original body couldn't come here, she didn't have much control over the ship. She could only use less than 30% of the ship's power. Now that another part had been stolen by Wang Lin, she only had a bit more control than Wang Lin. Second update, please get monthly votes. Chapter 1698. Once Wang Lin broke the 3rd layer of the restriction, the ship would fall into his hands. This was turning the tables on him. There was a flash of coldness in Fan Shanmeng's eyes. She raised her right hand and pointed at the layers of light around the ship. With this, the layers of light suddenly dimmed. At this instant, Fan Shanming's body flickered and she descended from the first layer to the second layer. The moment she entered, the seven-colored light shrouded the entire Soul Devil ship. The seven-colored Taoist stepped onto the deck with one step. The moment the seven-colored Taoist's foot landed, Wang Lin suddenly looked up from the third layer. His expression was calm, but there was a flash of light in his eyes. She really did this. Wang Lin sneered. Now that he had completely broken Fan Shanming's plan, her hidden threat was no longer effective. She would naturally use the seven-colored Taoist's power to suppress him. At this moment, the first layer of the deck the seven-colored Taoist was on was under Wang Lin's control. As a result, Wang Lin had to divert some of his attention to control the restrictions on the first layer to prevent the seven-colored Taoist from entering. Playing with fire. I can do that as well. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right hand formed a seal. A thunderous rumble came from the first layer of the Soul Devil ship. All the restrictions on the first layer stopped and everything calmed down. The moment the restrictions on the first layer calmed down, there was a bang and the seven-colored light penetrated the first layer. The seven-colored Taoist laughed and easily entered the second layer. At this moment, Fan Shanming had already entered the third layer. The moment she entered, her expression changed greatly and she immediately noticed Wang Lin's actions. Her body flickered and she arrived next to Wang Lin, who was also on the third layer. What are you doing? Are you looking to die? Even if you and I join forces, we won't be a match for the Rainbow First Soul. You actually opened the first level and let it in. A cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as he calmly said, "If you keep being so noisy, I'll open the second level and let him come down." You! Fan Shanming glared at Wang Lin, her eyes filled with killing intent. Since you can open the light curtain outside the ship and save him a lot of effort, why can't I open the first deck and let him directly enter the second deck? There is no deep hatred between me and him. If he wants the Li Guang Bao, I will give it to him. However, you are different. So, if you want to be safe, shut up for Wang. Wang Lin's voice boomed and fell into Fan Shanming's ears, causing her face to immediately turn pale. Not only do you have to shut up, but don't play any other tricks. If you insist on doing this, don't blame Wang for directly opening the second floor and letting the Rainbow First Soul come down. Wang Lin coldly looked at her. His gaze caused a chill to appear in Fan Shanming's heart. She looked at Wang Lin and suddenly felt that he was terrifying and had such deep schemes. He has taken away the initiative from my hands step by step, and now he has the advantage. Instead, I'm being suppressed by him. This person's schemes run too deep. Fan Shanming silently pondered. She felt a deep sense of dread toward Wang Lin, a cultivator from the cave world she originally didn't consider a threat. To have such schemes at such a young age, if this person was on the immortal astral continent, he would be a famous person. Wang Lin looked at Fan Shanming for a while before withdrawing his gaze. At this moment, thunderous rumbles echoed from the second floor. The entire deck trembled and countless restrictions flashed to resist the seven-colored light. However, it looked like it wouldn't last long before collapsing. If you don't want to die, you have to use your full strength to buy me more time to break the third floor. I know you have a last resort to keep yourself safe, but at this moment, you and I are equal in controlling the Soul Devil ship. However, you and I are equal in controlling the Soul Demon ship. If I don't cooperate, don't even think about leaving, Wang Lin slowly said. After he finished speaking, he no longer spoke and closed his eyes. The ancient Tao shadow remained outside as he immersed himself in studying the restrictions on the third floor. Fan Shanming's expression was extremely gloomy. She stared at Wang Lin for a long time before slowly turning her head. Wang Lin's words made her dread even more. Wang Lin's words had hit the nail on the head. She did indeed have a last resort, and it was because of this that she was able to use the seven-colored light to suppress Wang Lin. However, She didn't expect Wang Lin to be able to take control of 2 layers of restrictions on the Soul Devil ship in a short period of time and steal half of the control from her. If she wanted to use her last resort, she would need Wang Lin's cooperation. What do you plan to do? No matter how much I delay, I won't be able to buy you enough time to break the remaining restrictions. Why don't you give up the control? That way we can still leave. If you continue to be stubborn, we will really die here. Fan Shanmeng clenched her teeth. Just as she finished speaking, a thunderous rumble echoed. A large part of the second deck collapsed, and 30% of the restrictions inside were destroyed. I need 3 hours. Wang Lin opened his eyes and looked at Fan Shanmeng. You! Fan Shanmeng let out an angry laugh. A moment later, she suddenly turned around and pointed up. 7 colored light came from the second deck. Wang Lin calmed himself down. Originally, he wouldn't have treated the sisters like this, but they had schemed against him first. Wang Lin's life of cultivation was one where he wouldn't offend others if they didn't offend him. Now that he had the initiative, he naturally wouldn't let it go easily. The restrictions on the Soul Devil ship were very useful to him. After breaking 2 layers, Wang Lin's 4 great restrictions had reached perfection. He was just 1 step away from fusing them together to give birth to their source. More than half of the restrictions on the 3rd layer were ones Wang Lin had never seen before. Now that he was studying them, his understanding of restrictions increased by leaps and bounds. Time passed bit by bit. After the 4th hour, the second deck rumbled incessantly. Cracking sounds rang out as cracks suddenly appeared and spread out. With a loud bang, the second deck completely collapsed. Fan Shanming's body trembled and she coughed out a mouthful of blood. As she retreated a few steps, the 7 colored light spread out from the collapsed second deck. Just at this moment, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. His hand formed a seal and he waved his hand. All of the restrictions on the 3rd layer flew up and formed a giant net that flew up. Shortly after, Wang Lin's body suddenly sank from the 3rd layer to the 4th layer. The moment he entered the 4th layer, Fan Shanmeng also stepped forward. There was a large amount of fog on the 4th layer of the Soul Devil ship. This fog blocked divine sense and vision. He broke the 2nd layer, and even if I tried to stop him, 4 hours was the limit. Even if you broke the 3rd layer, I'm sure he will only need 2 hours to break it open. Wang Lin, what exactly do you want? I admit that I schemed against you before, but I did it for our common goal. Although you gave me your oath of blood, I'll give you my oath of blood. Do you think I would harm you? Now that we have reached this point, we should exchange our oath of blood as soon as possible. If you give up control of the ship and let me take complete control, we might have a chance. Fan Shanming's voice was filled with anxiety as she looked at Wang Lin from the 4th layer. Wang Lin also looked at Fan Shanming. After a long time, he suddenly smiled. You still want to lie to me at this time? I'm lying to you? Fan Shanming revealed a pained expression. She raised her head and looked at the 3rd layer above. At this moment, the 3rd layer was rumbling non-stop and cracks had appeared. You are not Fan Shanming. Wang Lin sighed. He didn't care about the cracks on the 3rd layer as he looked at her and slowly said, You are not Fan Shanming. What do you mean? The woman's expression suddenly calmed down as she stared at Wang Lin. You are Fan Shanlu. In truth, from the moment I stepped onto the Soul Devil ship, you were already scheming against me. If I had handed over the oath of blood, then perhaps none of this would have happened. However, you were worried that I wouldn't hand it over, so when you coughed out a mouthful of blood, you used some unknown method to change your aura and expression, making me misunderstand you as Fan Shanming. Because of this misunderstanding, you told me the secret of the cave world to make me believe that you are Fan Shanming. Then, when I broke through the layers of restrictions, your reaction might have been real, but it was also fake. I didn't understand before, but now I understand. Wang Lin calmly looked at the woman and slowly spoke. At this moment, the 3rd layer rumbled violently. More cracks appeared and revealed a faint seven-colored light. It looked like it was about to collapse. Are you crazy? I don't understand anything you are saying. The woman frowned. You don't understand. Everything here is fake. The second, third, and fourth layers are all fake. You are fake, and perhaps the seven-colored Taoist is real, but the hymn on the ship is fake. This is clearly an illusion. What a real illusion. I, Wang Lin, have encountered similar spells in my life, but none of them are so real that it's terrifying. The woman was startled for a moment and bitterly smiled. She retreated a few steps and her eyes were filled with disbelief. She looked at Wang Lin and spoke bitterly. Fake? Wang Lin, are you crazy? If you're not willing to exchange the oath of blood with me, then fine, but you're actually saying this is fake. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He raised his right hand and threw a palm at the third layer that was on the verge of collapse. With this palm, the third layer suddenly collapsed and the seven-colored light shrouded the entire fourth layer. At the same time, the seven-colored Taoist's figure stepped forward. Second brother is here. I'm writing the fourth chapter. I'm very tired, and today's chapter is very difficult to write, but I'll keep writing the fourth chapter. Chapter 1699. What are you doing? The woman's eyes suddenly bulged and revealed a look of shock. She quickly retreated, and in the blink of an eye, she was thousands of feet away. Her hands formed a seal, and a seven-colored light immediately covered her body. It turned into seven long swords that rapidly rotated around her. Behind her, a gigantic phantom appeared. It looked like a seven-colored flower, and as it bloomed, it exuded a mesmerizing fragrance. Wang Lin's expression didn't change at all. He stood there motionlessly and looked at the seven-colored Taoist walking out from the third floor. This person's expression was cold and he didn't say a word. He raised his right hand and the fourth floor trembled. A dazzling sun appeared in his hand. The sun wasn't big, only the size of his palm. However, the light and heat it gave off made it look like he was holding a real sun. He waved his hand and the sun flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's hair immediately began to burn and his body became extremely hot. Bursts of tearing pain caused his expression to distort. It was as if his body was going to be melted by the sun. However, his eyes were still calm and didn't change at all. He allowed the sun to close in. The woman in the distance watched in disbelief as the sun drowned Wang Lin. How could this be? He is crazy. He is really crazy. However, in the next breath, the woman's eyes suddenly widened. She stared ahead and almost screamed. Wang Lin, who should have died under the sun, walked out step by step. His hair wasn't burning at all, his clothes weren't damaged, and he didn't look tired. He was calm. All of this is fake. Wang Lin closed his eyes and waved his right hand. The seven-colored light dissipated and the blazing sun disappeared. The seven-colored Taoist from the seven sects disappeared. The fourth layer disappeared. The third layer and the second layer all disappeared. The last to disappear was the woman. Her face was filled with disbelief and confusion as she vanished from the area. Wang Lin opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, he looked at the first deck of the Soul Devil ship. The sail was fluttering on the mast, and the ghostly face on the sail was smiling strangely. Wang Lin's body was sitting on the first floor of the ship. There was the shadow of the ancient Tao around him. Not far from him, the woman was also sitting cross-legged. Her eyes were also open, and they were filled with confusion. So even you don't know that what happened just now was an illusion. Wang Lin turned his head and looked outside the ship. There were layers upon layers of protection, but there was no seven-colored light. There was no sign of the seven-colored Taoist. Even he is a fake, Wang Lin silently pondered as he stood up and waved his right hand. Dao Ji's shadow disappeared. He looked around and finally his gaze fell on the sail on the mast. What happened? At this moment, the confusion in the woman's eyes disappeared and she stared at Wang Lin. Then she suddenly looked around, and when she saw everything, her expression changed greatly. Great soul, true illusion. This is my sister's most powerful spell. In order to kill the seven-colored Taoist, she actually shrouded me in this spell. This woman was Fan Shanlu. She stood up and staggered back a few steps before coughing out a mouthful of blood. Wang Xie's eyes were still looking at the ghostly face on the sail as she slowly said, "The arrival of the seven-colored Taoist is fake. Perhaps he really did come here, but he didn't appear before us. You two sisters are very interesting. You thought that everything was part of your plan. You brought me here and threatened me to hand over the oath of blood, but your sister is even more brilliant. From the moment Seal appeared here, she made all of this happen in the single realm. She conjured the rainbow to chase after me. She coordinated with your plan and made me come here in 1 hour. After that, she even hid it from you. Just as I was about to study the restrictions here, she used an illusion within an illusion so that I couldn't see through it. In that illusion within an illusion, she almost forced the monkey to hand over the oath of blood. Brilliant! I, Wang Lin, have met countless people in my life, but only one person has made me feel mysterious and unfathomable. Now there is one more, and that is your sister." Wang Lin's expression was calm. Even his words didn't reveal any emotion. Fan Shanlu's face was pale as she carefully thought about everything that had happened. Her expression gradually became gloomy. She was certain that what Wang Lin had said was true. She had indeed fallen into her sister's illusion. For your sister to have such an illusion spell, the great soul sect of the immortal astral continent should be famous for illusions. Illusion, illusion. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Fan Shanlu pondered for a moment and said, "The great soul sect is indeed famous for illusions. Not everyone can learn this spell. My sister has the talent to learn this spell and has reached the realm of double illusion. The illusions within illusions you mentioned before were double illusions. If it was a step further, it could reach triple illusions, and we wouldn't have been able to escape," Fan Shanlu said softly after a moment of silence. Her expression was complicated. "I think what you said before about your sister dying to the seven-colored celestial sovereign but being resurrected by your teacher is a lie. She didn't die at all. It is very likely that her illusion fooled the seven-colored celestial sovereign. Even what happened between the two of them back on the immortal astral continent was not what you said. However, Wang is not interested in any of this." As Wang Lin spoke, he stepped forward and arrived next to the sail. His eyes became cold and his right hand mercilessly tore off the sail. "I'll take this treasure." At this instant, in a mountain range sealed in ice on the immortal astral continent, the woman cultivating in the ice opened her eyes and coughed out blood. Shock filled her eyes. "He actually broke through my great soul true illusion." At the same time, in another direction of the strange space where the Soul Devil ship was, the seven-colored Taoist was sitting in a pile of beast corpses. His expression constantly changed. Sometimes it was pain, and sometimes it was excitement. This kind of strange expression was very rare for him. It was obvious that even he had been immersed in the illusion the moment he entered. Or perhaps he had voluntarily entered the illusion. Otherwise, with his cultivation level, even though it was not as high as Fan Shanming's, it would not have been difficult for him to escape from the illusion. However, only he himself knew why he was willing to stay in the illusion and not wake up. He couldn't write any more and felt dizzy. He had only written 11,000 words after a whole day. This speed was simply too painful. Although he was missing 1,000 words, he remembered that at the beginning of the month there was also a case where he was missing 1,000 words. Together, they would count as one of the 80 chapters. The outbreak ended today, but it would continue the day after tomorrow, which was Wednesday. Chapter 1700. On the deck of the Soul Devil ship, Wang Lin tore off the ghostly sail and opened his hands. He carefully looked at the ghostly face and the sail moved. The ghostly face seemed to come alive and stared at Wang Lin. The reason Fan Shanmeng on the immortal astral continent could use her great soul true illusion and reach the terrifying level of the double illusion was mainly because of this sail. Wang Lin clearly remembered that when he entered the illusion, he saw the ghostly face. After that, he lost control of himself. Even when he broke through the illusion and opened his eyes, he was still looking at the ghostly sail. It was as if everything in the illusion had only happened the moment Wang Lin looked at the ghostly face. Fan Shanlu pondered a bit and then slowly said, "This is my great soul sex treasure and also the main soul sail of the soul devil ship. Wang doesn't care about the matter between you two sisters, and there is no need to exchange oaths of blood. Our goals are the same, and if there is no ill intent, we can cooperate. However, your older sister's previous actions are very interesting. Tell her that I'll take the ghostly sail and Wang will take the soul devil ship. Consider this as compensation to Wang for the unpleasantness from before." Wang Lin waved his right hand and put the ghostly sail into his storage space. Then he turned around and calmly looked at Fan Shanlu. Fan Shanlu opened her mouth to say something, but in the end she didn't speak. She just silently stood there with a complicated gaze. "You don't need to leave the ship. I can leave the ship with you, and when I need it, I'll summon you. In addition, is the ancient altar you mentioned in the illusion inside the soul devil ship?" As Wang Lin spoke, there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Fan Shanlu silently pondered for a long time, and then shook her head. She waved her jade-like hand and a piece of jade flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin grabbed it and looked at it. There was a map inside. "There are countless fierce beasts here, and the formation of this place is related to the battle in the cave world. It was torn open, but for some reason it is connected to a strange world. If you follow the map, you will see the ancient altar. Also, there is a spell technique in this jade. This is the spell I mentioned in the illusion realm that can devour the third soul. You can consider cultivating it," Fan Shanlu said softly. She looked up at the stars in the distance, and there was a hint of longing in her eyes. Wang Lin pondered a bit and then clasped his hands at Fan Shanlu. He turned around and stepped off the soul devil ship. Just as he was about to leave, Fan Shanlu's faint voice echoed. "My elder sister is desperate for revenge, and even I was used by her. I can help you with our cooperation, but I only have one request. When you open the cave to the immortal astral continent, take me with you. I want to go back to the tomb. It is extremely difficult to open the cave, and only the third soul can appear. Only he has the memories and knows where the heavenly Tao is. Only by summoning the heavenly Tao can one enter the celestial sovereign's mansion in the cave world of the Seven Tao sect. The celestial sovereign's mansion is where the battle took place. Although it is in ruins, there is a door that leads to the immortal astral continent. Opening that door will open the sealed cave." Wang Lin stopped. After pondering a bit, he turned to look at the bleak Fan Shanlu and nodded. "I promise you." Wang Lin rarely made promises. This was the first promise he had made after reaching the third step. It had nothing to do with trust or anything else, it was all because of the 4 words the woman had said. "I want to go home." Fan Shanlu bit her lower lip and looked at Wang Lin. After hearing Wang Lin's words, she gently nodded. She bit the tip of her tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood gave off a red glow, but it soon turned golden and flew toward Wang Lin. "This is my own oath of blood." Wang Lin caught the pale golden blood and fused it with his body. Then he walked toward the dark space without looking back. Wang Lin no longer needed to study the restrictions on the soul devil ship. The terror of the double illusion was no different from reality. Wang Lin's comprehension and research in the illusion would still exist even after he left the illusion. Just like how Fan Shanlu had been injured in the illusion and recovered after breaking it, the spells of the Great Soul Sect were indeed very strange and unpredictable. The ghostly sail is the main sail of the Soul Devil ship, but it doesn't just contain the ghostly face. There are also many restrictions on it, and these restrictions include everything about the Soul Devil ship. As long as I refine this sail, not only will I be able to control more restrictions, but I'll also be able to use this sail to control the Soul Devil ship. As Wang Lin walked among the stars, he began to ponder. His divine sense entered his storage space and slowly refined the ghostly sail. During this process, he gradually understood some ways to control it. Although it wasn't much, as time passed, he would eventually gain complete control of it. A moment later, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he stopped thinking about the ghostly sail. Instead, he raised his right hand and touched the spot between his eyebrows. Yimo's child died by my hand, and I absorbed 8 drops of Dao Ji's blood. These 8 drops of blood were formed by his origin soul. If I can refine them all, my ancient Dao body will become even stronger. Right now, I must go take a look at the altar. Perhaps there will be a fortune there. Although my cultivation level is at the spirit void level, I'm still not as good as those arcane void cultivators. Now that the ancient celestial realm has opened and the 4 generals have appeared, their goal is to find the 3rd soul. This saves me a lot of planning. This is the best time for me to increase my cultivation level. Wang Lin moved faster and faster as he pondered. His divine sense spread out and he carefully observed his surroundings. The star system was dark and the auras of fierce beasts would occasionally appear. These fierce beasts posed no threat to Wang Lin, and they would often retreat when his divine sense swept by. Wang Lin was very cautious in this strange star system. Although the surrounding fierce beasts didn't give him any pressure, Wang Lin wasn't sure if the 7-colored Taoist had really come here. This was why, even though his divine sense was spread out, he was completely focused. If there was any abnormality, he would immediately choose to escape. Although this was very dangerous, he had to go to the altar. If he was too scared to come here because of an uncertain matter, then he wouldn't have gotten to where he was today and wouldn't have his current cultivation level. After several hours, Wang Lin suddenly stopped and his expression changed. Without any hesitation, he retreated and was about to disappear. However, just as he was about to disappear, Wang Lin exclaimed and stared at the star system before him. His expression constantly changed. At that moment, his divine sense saw a figure sitting among the corpses of fierce beasts hundreds of thousands of miles away. This figure gave off a 7-colored glow and sat there motionlessly. His expression was sometimes complicated, sometimes confused, sometimes sad, and sometimes excited. He was the 7-colored Taoist. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The 7-colored Taoist's current appearance was very strange, but after experiencing the illusion from before, Wang Lin could tell that the 7-colored Taoist was also immersed in the illusion and couldn't extricate himself. This illusion was likely cast by Fan Shanmeng. Even with the 7-colored Taoist's cultivation level, he was shrouded in an illusion. This matter is not right. Wang Lin was very smart, and after pondering for a bit, he immediately saw the problem. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin's heart pounded and he felt a rare struggle in his heart. On one hand, he wanted to leave immediately. With the 7-colored Taoist's current state, he wouldn't chase after him. If that was the case, there would be no danger for Wang Lin to go to the altar. On the other hand, Wang Lin felt like this was an opportunity. If he could enter the 7-colored Taoist's illusion, he would know some real secrets. He had a feeling that the reason the 7-colored Taoist was immersed in the illusion was not because of Fan Shanmeng alone. Perhaps there was something else going on. He vaguely felt like if he gave up on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, he would regret it in the future. After struggling for half an incense stick of time, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a cold light. Wealth comes from danger. Wang Lin's body flickered and he suddenly disappeared. He was very cautious, and when he reappeared, he was 100,000 feet away from the 7-colored Taoist. This place was filled with the corpses of fierce beasts. Wang Lin stood on top of a fierce beast and carefully looked at the corpse below him. His eyes slowly lit up. These fierce beasts haven't been dead for long, it shouldn't have been long. Wang Lin looked at the seven-colored beast in the distance and waved his right hand. The corpse of a fierce beast that was hundreds of feet large flew into the air. He waved his hand and the corpse flew toward the seven-colored beast. Wang Lin's eyes shined and he leaned back, preparing to escape at any moment. He stared at the corpse and instantly closed in on the seven-colored Taoist. However, just as the corpse was within 1,000 feet, the seven-colored light behind the seven-colored Taoist flashed. The corpse trembled and silently disintegrated before Wang Lin's eyes. There was no flesh or blood, it completely disappeared. So it is like this. Wang Lin silently pondered and cautiously walked forward. His pace wasn't fast, but his heart was pounding. He slowly moved forward until he was 1,000 feet away from the seven-colored Taoist, not far from where the corpse of the fierce beast had disappeared. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and sat down. He raised his right hand and pointed to between his eyebrows. This finger seemed to enter Wang Lin's soul. When he raised his right hand, Wang Lin's vision became blurry. He suddenly pointed at the seven-colored Taoist sitting 1,000 feet away. With my dream, I am your illusion, dream Tao spell. When his finger landed, Wang Lin's body suddenly trembled and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The blurry vision disappeared, but he was still sitting there without any change. The dream Tao spell didn't require direct physical contact, but the seven-colored Taoist's cultivation level was high and there were restrictions outside, so Wang Lin couldn't enter the seven-colored Taoist's illusion. Wang Lin frowned and revealed an unwilling expression. Chapter 1701. An aura that could make all life tremble spread out from the seven-colored Taoist's body. This aura caused all the fierce beasts to retreat in terror before they even got close. It was enough to scare them out of their wit. This aura was even more powerful than the heavens' might. No living being dared to get close to it. This was a powerful pressure that caused the world to tremble and the heavens to tremble in fear. The reason there were so many fierce beast corpses around the seven-colored Taoist was likely because he had killed them before he entered this strange space and entered the illusion. Wang Lin was a bold person. At this moment, he was 1,000 feet away from the seven-colored Taoist and narrowed his eyes. After pondering a bit, he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. There were 99 drops of blood in total, and each drop contained the aura of Wang Lin's cultivation. His eyes became serious and he waved his sleeve. One of the 99 drops of blood flew out and floated between his eyebrows. Immortal ancient Tao. Wang Lin muttered as all the ancient Tao power in his body surged and gathered inside the drop of blood. There was also a trace of his origin soul inside it. The drop of blood immediately became crystal clear. From afar it looked like a crystal. After fusing with Wang Lin's ancient Tao power, the drop of blood gave off a bright, red glow. Wang Lin blew out a breath of air, and the remaining 98 drops of blood flew forward. They surrounded the drop of blood and formed a blood-colored halo. Under the protection of the halo, it penetrated within 1,000 feet of the seven-colored Taoist. The moment it entered 1,000 feet, the halo formed by the 98 drops of blood silently dissipated, leaving only the drop of immortal ancient blood. However, their dissipation helped the drop of blood resist the first wave of destruction. This drop of blood instantly penetrated hundreds of feet. During this short period of time, it was destroyed thousands of times. However, every time it was destroyed, the immortal ancient blood would rapidly recover. In an instant, this drop of blood entered within 100 feet of the seven-colored Taoist. For the first time, the immortal ancient blood's recovery power couldn't outrun the destruction. The drop of blood rapidly dissipated until only a trace remained. Although this trace of blood could be seen with the naked eye, if one didn't look carefully, it would be difficult to notice. This drop of blood contained a trace of Wang Lin's origin soul. As it continued to be destroyed, intense pain spread through Wang Lin's body, causing his expression to become distorted. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The moment the drop of blood was destroyed, it penetrated the last 100 feet and landed between the seven-colored Taoist's eyebrows. The drop of blood disappeared, but Wang Lin's origin soul touched the seven-colored Taoist's body. Wang Lin, who was 1,000 feet away, closed his eyes and let out a roar. Dream Dao. The moment these two words came out, Wang Lin's divine sense rumbled and everything around him collapsed. As it collapsed, a seven-colored light appeared and took his mind into the endless abyss. This was a seven-colored world. The sky was seven-colored, the earth was seven-colored, and even the clouds gave off seven-colored light. There were mountain ranges on the ground, and when Wang Lin appeared, he was standing at the top of one of them. After a brief moment of confusion in his eyes, he immediately looked around. Is this the seven-colored Taoist's illusion? Wang Lin silently pondered as he carefully spread out his divine sense. He jumped into the air and flew forward. The earth below him flashed by. After flying for an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin suddenly stopped and looked ahead. There was a person sitting cross-legged on a mountain before them. This person was the seven-colored Taoist. He was sitting there with his eyes wide open. He looked at the sky in a daze. There were 9 fist-sized balls of light floating around his body. The balls of light were like flames, and there were 9 fire birds inside them. These 9 suns were the seven-colored Taoist's cultivation and treasure. The seven-colored Taoist muttered, Shanmeng. I remember, your name is Fan Shanmeng. Wang Lin looked at the seven-colored Taoist with a strange expression. He had heard the seven-colored Taoist's words, but the seven-colored Taoist didn't seem to notice him. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Could it also be an illusion within an illusion? A moment later, Wang Lin carefully walked toward the seven-colored Taoist. He gradually closed in on the mountain and arrived 10,000 feet away from the seven-colored Taoist. Staring at the seven-colored Taoist, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a decisive gaze. He reached out with his right hand and opened his storage space. The ghostly sail appeared. Although Wang Lin didn't know how to use this sail and hadn't completely refined it, he had fused his divine sense with it. After taking out the sail, Wang Lin sat down and waved it. Under the control of the trace of divine sense Wang Lin had fused with it, the sail wrapped around his body and flew forward with his origin soul. In a flash, Wang Lin's origin soul left his body and charged toward the seven-colored Taoist. The ghostly sail spread out above the seven-colored Taoist. The ghostly face gradually turned into Wang Lin and entered the seven-colored Taoist's confused eyes. At this instant, Wang Lin's vision darkened. The seven-colored Taoist's eyes were like black holes that sucked him in. I went in. Just as Wang Lin sent out his divine sense, he heard a thunderous rumble and a familiar laugh. The darkness in front of him seemed to be forcibly torn apart by some strange power. What appeared in front of him was a land of collapsed pavilions. This place was like a mountain gate, with many pavilions standing tall. There was also the illusion of heaven and earth, as if this was a sect. That familiar laughter came from a middle-aged man in gray robes with long hair. This middle-aged man was handsome, and his eyes gleamed with a cold light. He exuded an air of extreme arrogance, and anyone who saw him would feel it from the bottom of their hearts. At this moment, he raised his right hand. There was a huge pavilion before him, and just as he was about to blast it open, a roar came from within. The pavilion collapsed and seven-colored light shone out. A person with a furious expression walked out from within the seven-colored light. When Wang Lin saw this person, he immediately took a deep breath. This person was the statue in Wang Lin's storage space, the real seven-colored celestial sovereign. As for the middle-aged man, although Wang Lin didn't recognize him, his laughter and voice caused Wang Lin to recognize him. He was the madman. Behind the madman, a scarlet flame dragon danced in the air and let out an arrogant roar. Beside it was a bald youth dressed in a green robe and a manservant's uniform. The bald youth's body was a bit skinny and his eyes revealed a ferocious gaze as he battled someone. Wang Lin wasn't unfamiliar with the person he was fighting. It was one of the 4 generals, the Azure Dragon General. Looking around, this was a battlefield, and it was extremely chaotic. Cultivators were fighting each other, and 3 of the 4 generals were there. The Celestial Sovereign and the 8 concubines were also there. Rumbling sounds reverberated in the air. The earth quaked and the mountains swayed. The ground collapsed one after another, and the pavilions collapsed into rubble. Countless cracks appeared in the sky, and gusts of cold wind blew out from the cracks. Wherever the wind swept past, everything was sealed in ice. Seeing all of this, Wang Lin's mind trembled. After being startled for a moment, a thunderous rumble came from the madman and the 7-colored Celestial Sovereign. The 7-colored Celestial Sovereign coughed out blood and retreated. His expression was filled with pain and madness as he let out a violent roar. Fan Shanmeng, Fan Shanlu, why did you 2 betray me? Did I not treat you well? Why? Could it be that just because I obtained that fragment, you forgot our 10,000 years of companionship? Fan Shanmeng, come out. You sneak attacked me on the way here, but I didn't kill you and instead let you leave. Do you know the pain in my heart? Do you know? Now you bring outsiders here to kill me, you bitch. And you, Lian Daofei, you have a noble status and countless Dao partners. You took a fancy to that bitch many years ago. Do you think I don't know? The 7-colored Celestial Sovereign's eyes were filled with madness as he roared. The madman, or rather, Lian Daofei, had a proud expression. When he heard this, he smiled and shook his head. It was she who seduced this king, but this king has no interest in someone else's Dao partner. I only came here for the fragment you obtained. Hand over the fragment and I'll immediately leave. I won't participate in the matter between you 2. Fragment? Today, none of you here will be able to leave. The 7-colored Celestial Sovereign's eyes were bloodshot and he waved his sleeve. The world changed colors and a giant vortex appeared in the sky. There was a giant eye inside the vortex. There was no emotion inside the eye. It was filled with indifference as it stared at the people below and slowly closed. The moment the eye closed, Lian Daofei's expression changed greatly. Heavenly Dao! All of you die for this lord! The 7-colored Celestial Sovereign waved his hand and the world rumbled. Black gas filled the area and completely blocked Wang Lin's vision. Miserable screams echoed and a pressure that made Wang Lin tremble shrouded his mind. Inside the black gas, Lian Daofei was seriously injured by the Heavenly Dao. The 7-colored Celestial Sovereign's body collapsed and shattered everything around him. His shattered body split into 3 parts and scattered in 3 different directions. One of them was the 7-colored Celestial Sovereign, one was formed by his domain, and the last one contained all his memories. It flew off into the distance. Just at this moment, the 7-colored Celestial Sovereign's first soul flew toward the dissipating third soul. Wang Lin was startled and his mind became clear. He knew why the 7-colored Celestial Sovereign was willing to immerse himself in this illusion and not awaken. Continue to erupt tomorrow. I need monthly votes. Chapter 1702. What a deep scheme, such a decisive action, the 7-colored Taoist. Wang Lin saw all of this and his mind became clear. He saw the real reason why the 7-colored Taoist was willing to be immersed in the illusion. That Fan Shanmeng used an illusion technique to lure the 7-colored Taoist into an illusion. He allowed her to do as she pleased, but he used his powerful cultivation to change everything in the illusion. It was as if time had turned back to the scene of the battle in the cave world. Wang Lin's body flickered, and he charged toward the place where the 7-colored Taoist disappeared. The thing he longed for the most in his life was to find the third soul, but after all these years, he still couldn't find any clues about the third soul. He didn't know where the third soul was hiding or who it had reincarnated into. Using this illusion, he returned to the time when his body was split into 3 souls and 7 spirits. Then, just like now, he was going to follow the third soul in the illusion and see where it reincarnated in the past. If he really saw where the third soul went, regardless of whether this illusion was real or not, it would be a chance for him to find the third soul. This matter can't be allowed to succeed. Otherwise, if what happened in this illusion reflects what happened in the past, then the 7-colored Taoist might really find the third soul. Wang Lin's body was wrapped up by the ghostly sail and turned into a ray of ghostly light as he flew forward. He came with his origin soul, so his speed was much faster than normal. However, he still couldn't compare to the 7-colored Taoist and the third soul. Seeing that there was no trace of them, Wang Lin spread out his divine sense, but he also couldn't find them. "This can't go on, I'm too slow." There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He raised his right hand and mercilessly hit his body. He spat out a mouthful of origin energy. This origin energy had no color, but it was more precious than essence blood. After spitting out this mouthful of origin energy, Wang Lin's origin soul immediately became weak. His origin soul took a step forward and fused with the origin soul chi that he had spat out. His speed suddenly increased exponentially, and with a whoosh, he disappeared without a trace. He moved forward at a speed that was 100 times faster than normal. In an instant, Wang Lin appeared in the distance. His divine sense had expanded to its limit and he saw a flash of the 7-colored Taoist. Just a bit more. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and spat out another mouthful of origin energy. His speed increased like crazy once more. Thunderous rumbles echoed and intense pain filled Wang Lin's origin soul. It was as if his origin soul was going to be torn apart. The speed he gained with this pain instantly reached the limit Wang Lin could withstand. At this speed, Wang Lin's divine sense finally caught up to the 7-colored Taoist and saw the complete figure of the 7-colored Taoist. Before the 7-colored Taoist, the third soul gave off a milky white glow and charged forward. As the 7-colored Taoist moved forward, he frowned. He had naturally noticed Wang Lin's existence. This illusion was something he had created himself, so he would immediately know that someone else had appeared. However, this was a critical moment for him. Whether or not he could find the third soul would depend on this. This was a rare opportunity. After all, no one in the cave world was qualified to use an illusion like this. The 7-colored Taoist ignored Wang Lin and moved at full speed to lock onto the third soul. He wanted to see where the third soul was going. As long as he found where it was going, he was confident he could find traces of the third soul after leaving the illusion. Time passed in a flash. Wang Lin spat out a third mouthful of origin energy and barely managed to keep up with the 7-colored Taoist. His origin soul seemed to be burning, and from afar, it looked like a flame as he flew forward. The stars before him gradually became blurry and a giant star map seemed to appear. This star map was endless and was where the entire cave world was condensed. The moment Wang Lin saw the star map, he immediately recognized that it was the entire cave world. The inner and outer realms didn't have the realm ceiling formation yet, so they were still one. Wang Lin personally saw the third soul charge into the star map. Although it wasn't going to the center of the star map, it wasn't far away. If one carefully divided this place, it would be the inner realm. Inner realm. The third soul is going to the inner realm. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. Seeing the third soul enter the inner realm and disappear without a trace, the 7-colored Taoist let out a roar. His hands formed a seal and he waved at the star map. The star map rapidly expanded in Wang Lin's divine sense. As it expanded, the missing third soul was found by the 7-colored Taoist once more. The third soul had passed through the current cloud sea and was heading toward the summoned river. Perhaps it would stay in the summoned river or go to another star system. It wouldn't take long for Wang Lin to see where the third soul was going to reincarnate. However, since Wang Lin could see it, the seven-colored Taoist could also see it. At this moment, the seven-colored Taoist's eyes were filled with excitement. Although he didn't know if all this was as real as before and didn't know if what he saw was the truth, this was an opportunity. This was the first opportunity he had seen in countless years. If he finds the third soul, I'll without a doubt die. I must find the third soul before them. If I can't find it, then I can't let anyone find it first. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with coldness and decisiveness. However, his cultivation level was much lower than the seven-colored Taoists, so he was powerless to stop this from happening. Seeing the third soul slow down and show signs of stopping, the excitement in the seven-colored Taoist's eyes reached a peak. At this critical moment, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. His right hand formed a seal, and the ghostly sail around his origin soul shined brightly. In a flash, Wang Lin's body disappeared. When he reappeared, the world was filled with seven-colored light. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he suddenly opened his eyes. Everything around him had returned to the first illusion. The seven-colored Taoist was sitting on top of a mountain not far away from Wang Lin, and he was filled with excitement. Wang Lin's origin soul was surrounded by the ghostly sail and floated in the air. After seeing everything around him clearly, he didn't hesitate to return his primordial spirit to the physical body in the first illusion. The moment he entered his body, Wang Lin stood up and didn't waste any time. He stepped toward the seven-colored Taoist, who was sitting at the top of the mountain. He couldn't stop the seven-colored Taoist in the second illusion, but he could use the ghostly sail to return to the first illusion and stop the seven-colored Taoist. Or he could wake the seven-colored Taoist up from the second illusion. This way, he would achieve Wang Lin's goal. Just as Wang Lin closed in on the seven-colored Taoist, the 9 suns around the seven-colored Taoist opened their eyes at the same time and released a shocking heat wave. This heat wave was not fire but light. The heat of light was countless times stronger than fire. At this moment, Wang Lin felt like his body was going to melt. His hair in the first illusion immediately burned and dissipated. Intense pain came from Wang Lin's body. It felt like if he got any closer, he would be burned to nothing. I can't get close. Wang Lin's face was pale and his eyes were filled with anxiety. He didn't know what the seven-colored Taoist had seen in the second illusion, but he knew that if he didn't have a way to stop the seven-colored Taoist, he would have to escape immediately. However, Wang Lin was unwilling to leave like this. He retreated a few steps and stared at the excited seven-colored Taoist surrounded by the 9 suns. How can I wake him up? What should I do? What should I do? Wang Lin's eyes lit up and various thoughts appeared in his mind. Several breaths later, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Illusions, especially illusions, can be treated as a dream. What I need to do now is to wake up the seven-colored Taoist from his dream. In his dream, it is like he is asleep. If I analyze it this way, everything will be much simpler. I think he is asleep, so what I need to do is wake him up, wake him up. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly and he waved his sleeve. The fire and thunder essence in his left eye rushed out and gathered before him, forming a vortex of burning thunder. At the same time, Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal. The life and death essence, karma essence, and true and false essence flew out from between his eyebrows and fused with the vortex, causing it to become even larger. Finally, the slaughter essence appeared. The moment it entered the vortex rumbled and rapidly changed shape according to Wang Lin's divine sense until it turned into a trumpet. This sound-amplifying tool was formed by the 6 great essences, and there were countless swirling essences within it that formed folds. As a result, when the sound entered it, it would be amplified countless times over by the folds. After doing all of this, Wang Lin activated all the power of the 3G clans and fused them together to form the ancient order. The sky behind him distorted and the ancient order shadow appeared. The veins on Wang Lin's face swelled and he held his breath. A moment later, he let out a roar at the vortex formed by the essences. This roar was the roar of the ancient god, the roar of the ancient order. It was something Wang Lin had learned in the ancient order tomb when he forced the sovereign back. At this moment, he unleashed it at full power, causing the seven-colored world to rumble. The sky collapsed and the earth trembled. Cracks appeared and the sky changed colors. Countless cracks appeared in the void between Wang Lin and the seven-colored Taoist. There was also a storm. All of this was caused by Wang Lin's roar. And this was only before the vortex formed by the six essences amplified it. Today's eruption would not be less than 1,000 words like the day before. This was the first update, and he urgently needed monthly votes. To be continued. Chapter 1703. Wang Lin's roar turned into a storm and rushed into the tool formed by the vortex formed by the six essences. After buzzing a few times, his voice suddenly came out. The roar was already very powerful, and now it was amplified countless times. The moment it spread out from the vortex, the world collapsed and the first illusion rapidly disintegrated. This roar formed an indescribable rumble. It was like a storm that blew on the 9 suns around the seven-colored Taoist. The flames of the 9 suns showed signs of extinguishing. The roar penetrated the 9 suns and entered the Taoist's ears. The seven-colored Taoist was filled with excitement in the second illusion. This kind of excitement normally wouldn't appear on an earth cultivator like him, but at this moment, he found it difficult to suppress. He had waited for so many years. It was no exaggeration to say he had waited his entire life. Now he had finally found traces of the third soul using the power from the immortal astral continent. Although he didn't know if he had imagined it or if it was real, this was the first time he had been this close to the third soul. Under his gaze, he saw the third soul pass through the current summoned river and head to the brilliant void tens of thousands of years in the future. He waved his hand again, wanting to see it more clearly. However, at this moment, a shocking change occurred. An earth-shattering roar came into his ears. The roar was not strong at first, but almost in an instant, it increased exponentially and became all the sounds that the Rainbow Taoist could hear. Roar! As the roar echoed, everything before the seven-colored Taoist seemed to be torn apart by a powerful force. It was as if it was going to collapse his illusion and pull him out. Before him, the third soul that he could still see dissipated at a visible rate. The star map became blurry and collapsed. Not only the star map, but everything around it also disintegrated. All of this happened too suddenly. The seven-colored Taoist was the most excited. Just as he was about to see where the third soul was, everything disappeared. The seven-colored Taoist was startled for a moment. He couldn't stop it because someone had awakened him from the first illusion. No! After the seven-colored Taoist recovered from his shock, he let out a roar of extreme anger. This roar came from his mouth, and also came from the mouth of the seven-colored immortal sitting at the top of the mountain in the first illusion. This roar collided with Wang Lin's ancient order roar and formed a destructive force. The six essence vortexes suddenly collapsed and Wang Lin coughed out blood. Popping sounds echoed throughout his body and he was thrown back. At the same time, the 9 suns spread out and a powerful impact rushed toward Wang Lin. At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin's ancient order immortal body activated and rapidly recovered. He waved his right hand and the ghostly sail appeared. As the impact closed in, Wang Lin's body dissipated. In the strange space filled with fierce beasts, in the area filled with the corpses of many fierce beasts, 1,000 feet away from the seven-colored Taoist, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. His gaze was dim and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. He didn't hesitate to take a step back. With this step, his body disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was far away and coughed out blood once more. Wang Lin didn't even have time to heal and charged forward like crazy. In the distance, the seven-colored Taoist suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot and his expression was distorted. He stared into the distance and let out a violent roar. Wang Lin, if I, the seven-colored Taoist, don't kill you, I swear I'm not a human. This voice rumbled and swept across the entire star system. The large amount of beast corpses around seven-colored trembled and collapsed, turning into dust that scattered in all directions. The seven-colored Taoist suddenly stood up and chased after Wang Lin with monstrous killing intent. Wang Lin was very far away, but he still heard the angry roar. His face was pale, but he didn't stop. He coughed out blood and escaped using blood escape. Nonsense, even if I didn't stop him from finding the third soul, since he chased me here. He must have evil intentions. Although Wang Lin's eyes were dim, he didn't regret his previous actions. He had to do this. If he hadn't chosen to destroy the seven-colored Taoist's plan, then even if he went to the altar, he would only be delaying his death. If everything in that illusion was real, then once the seven-colored Taoist found the third soul, not only him, but the entire cave world would have no hope. The world would be completely controlled by the new seven-colored celestial sovereign. At that time, he wouldn't be able to control Wang Lin's life or death. He couldn't allow this kind of thing to happen. He had to destroy the other party's plan, even if the consequences of doing so would bring him infinitely closer to death. At this moment, as he escaped, the space behind Wang Lin trembled. He could clearly feel the seven-colored Taoist chasing after him. The seven-colored Taoist's cultivation was high, and his divine sense was boundless, so it would be very easy for him to find Wang Lin. Right now, I can only go to the altar. Perhaps the altar can help me solve this life and death crisis. I hope this is true. When Wang Lin decided to go to the seven-colored Taoist, he pondered for half an incense stick of time. During this half an incense stick of time, not only did he ponder the gains and losses, but he also fused with the All-Seer's soul and began his divination. The result of his divination showed that the altar was where his chance of survival was. Fan Shanlu once said that after the battle in the cave world, the heavenly Tao appeared to devour Lien Daofei, and the seven-colored celestial sovereign's 3 souls and 7 spirits were forcibly torn apart at this distance. She also said that this place was connected to a mysterious space, which was why so many fierce beasts had appeared. At this moment, in the depths of this spatial rift, there was a giant altar floating in the dark space. This altar was broken, but it didn't drift away, it was fixed in place. The altar was completely black, the same color as the stars. However, there was a soft light coming from the edge of the altar. The reason this altar was fixed was because a corner of it seemed to extend into another space. Layers of ripples echoed from the connection and hadn't dissipated for tens of thousands of years. The space that was connected to it was not completely void of cracks. Instead, there were some damages and a few huge cracks had spread out. The light was also coming from those cracks. This scene was like a piece of paper that had been pierced by a dart, but it was stuck there. Naturally, there were some cracks where the paper had been pierced. Bursts of ancient Tao aura spread out from the altar, but it didn't spread too far. It was as if there was an invisible force restricting the spread of this aura. The altar was like a small mountain and was octagonal in shape. There were layers of stairs around it, and at the top of the stairs, which was the highest point of the altar, was a flat area with a radius of 300 meters. If one looked at it from a close distance, one could vaguely see countless black runes and symbols on it, forming an ancient formation. At the center of the formation, which was the core of the altar, there was an arm. The ancient Tao aura came from this arm. However, this arm wasn't very big, only a few 100 feet wide. It was quietly placed there and didn't move at all. Through the crack on the altar, one could see a blurry scene in another space. It was a world of birds and flowers. There were many immortal herbs on the ground, and some immortal beasts were chasing after them. It was like a paradise. Just at this moment, a shrill scream rang out from the space that resembled a peach garden. The scream was filled with helplessness and pleading, and when anyone heard it, they would inevitably feel sympathy for it. Little ancestors, please let me go. I really don't know how to tell stories anymore. No matter how many treasures you give me, I don't know how to tell stories anymore. I've been doing this for more than 100 years and my mouth is dry. I can't take it anymore. As a miserable scream rang out, a haggard figure with lifeless eyes and a pained expression crawled out of the huge crack that connected the altar to this space. There was clearly an invisible barrier around the crack, but it was as if this barrier didn't exist. Soon, most of the figure's body was revealed. Through the crack, one could see two little girls around 7 or 8 years old squatting in the strange space behind this person. These two little girls were very cute. One was wearing purple and the other was wearing a green dress. Han, how about we let him go? I think he's quite pitiful. The little girl in the green dress couldn't bear to let him go and touched her companion. When the figure heard this, tears flowed down and his eyes were filled with fear. Wah, his story isn't over yet. Don't pity him. Didn't he threaten us when he first came here? The little girl called Han grabbed the figure's leg with her small hand and pulled it back. As the figure screamed miserably, she pulled him back. Greedy wolf, quickly finish the story. You were talking about Wang Yu, quickly tell the rest. The little girl called Wah had a smile on her face. She looked at Greedy and thought for a bit before speaking. How about this, you tell us the story of another 1,000 years, and I'll make the decision to let you go. Greedy let out a howl as he watched his body being pulled back to this terrifying place. When he heard Wah's words, more tears flowed down his face. I knew it would be like this. You too. Last time, it was the same. I really don't have any more stories. I want to drink some water. The second chapter. To be continued. Chapter 1704. Greed's eyes were filled with despair and his heart was filled with regret. When he met Wang Lin in the outer realm, he was able to get rid of the stench on his body. Originally, he was able to relax. However, shortly after, he encountered the war between the inner and outer realm. This war made the greedy wolf very excited. He felt like his chance had come again. Perhaps he would obtain more treasures in this war and even increase his cultivation level. With this in mind, the greedy wolf followed the outer realm army to the Cloud Sea and secretly left. Relying on his perception of treasures, he was able to find a rift in the Cloud Sea and enter it. He was very excited here. He clearly felt the rich aura of treasures here. This aura made him laugh like crazy for half an incense stick of time. He felt that his luck was still strong and that perhaps he would find a great fortune inside the rift. Once he left, he wouldn't need to fear Wang Lin anymore. He was going to take back all the treasures he had lost. With this ambition, the greedy wolf was in high spirit. He continued to search the rift and finally found the ancient Tao altar. The excited Greed's eyes lit up when he saw the altar. At the edge of the altar, he saw the world filled with the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers. When he saw it, he almost let out a howl of excitement. He saw countless immortal herbs, many of which he had only read about in some ancient records and had never seen before in his life. Any one of them could almost achieve the effect of increasing one's cultivation after concocting pills. There were simply too many celestial herbs, so many that the greedy wolf almost suffocated. Aside from the celestial herbs, he also saw celestial beasts that looked very docile but gave off terrifying auras. These celestial beasts chased each other and played peacefully. This made the greedy wolf even more excited. Based on his experience, as long as he didn't provoke these celestial beasts, they wouldn't take the initiative to attack him. It was likely that they would become his pets, just like when he encountered the Thunder Dragon. All of this caused the greedy wolf's body to tremble with excitement. However, He didn't lose his mind and carefully observed the rift for a few days. He wanted to see if there were any cultivators guarding this place. In the end, he saw two little girls laughing as they appeared. To him, these two little girls posed no threat at all. Delighted, Greed let out a wild laugh. Without any hesitation, he stepped into the rift and appeared in this strange space. The rift had no effect on him. The greedy wolf was not surprised, as he had encountered many similar things in his life. After entering the rift, he saw the two little girls looking at him in shock. This caused the greedy wolf to laugh like crazy. He waved his sleeves and was about to trap the two little girls. Then he excitedly began to pick the celestial herbs. However, he would never be able to forget the tragic things that happened next. He still remembered what the two little girls said after they were trapped by him. "Han Han, who is he? Why did he suddenly appear here? I don't know either. Strange, why did he come to our purple yang sex beast farm realm? Look, is he crazy? Those are grass for little beasts to eat, why did he put them in his mouth?" The two little girls were stunned for a long time. The girl called Wah Wah took a few steps forward. She didn't care about the greedy wolf's seal at all. She appeared behind the greedy wolf and kicked him. After this kick, the greedy wolf's tragedy began. Thinking back to his memories, the greedy wolf's eyes were filled with tears. He looked at the two little girls with their eyes wide open and revealed looks of pride. His heart was filled with despair. He couldn't beat them. In fact, a single kick from them almost crippled his cultivation. In his eyes, these two little girls were too terrifying. I'll tell you, okay? Last time we talked about that cruel, ugly, shameless, and arrogant demon, Wang Lin. He is in Wang Yu's stomach. The greedy wolf's throat seemed to be on fire. He sat there paralyzed and continued to speak. This Wang Lin is too hateful. How can he be so intimate? The purple-clothed girl named Han Han wrinkled her nose and muttered unhappily. Han Han, do you remember what I told you before? When Master and I went outside to search for herbs, we felt a very strange divine sense. I even communicated with him, and he said his name was Wang Lin. Just as the greedy wolf was painfully narrating his story, outside the rift to the peach garden, Wang Lin's face was deathly pale. He coughed out blood once more and escaped using blood escape. Behind him, space itself seemed to be burning as 9 giant firebirds chased after him. Waves of heat spread out and gave off a pressure that could shake space itself. Behind the 9 firebirds, there was a 7-colored light. The 7-colored Taoist's face was filled with killing intent and anger as he slowly closed in. I want to see where you can run to. I'm going to refine your ancient body into ashes. The more you recover, the more pain you'll feel. I'm going to capture your origin soul and refine you into a treasure. Only then can I resolve the hatred in my heart. Wang Lin's body felt like it was on fire and the intense pain enveloped his body. His blood seemed to be boiling as it moved through his body, making the pain even more intense. The blood he coughed out was even hotter, and his body was like a giant furnace that was burning. Even though he controlled the fire essence, he could only delay it slightly. It was as if the fire essence couldn't resist the burning of the 7-colored Taoist spell. His body continued to recover along the way, but the more he recovered, the more intense the pain became. Wang Lin almost couldn't bear it, but he clenched his teeth and didn't waste any time. He used blood escape many times. He was getting closer and closer to the altar. A moment later, as Wang Lin teleported, he saw the altar pointed out by the map. The moment he saw the altar, there was a flash of light in Wang Lin's eyes. He turned into a ray of burning light and charged toward the altar. It was also at this moment that the greedy wolf carefully retreated from the rift that connected the Purple Yang sect to the Beast Farm realm. While the two little girls were talking about Wang Lin's name, the greedy wolf seemed to have gone crazy. He quickly retreated into the rift and rushed out. At the moment he rushed out, tears of joy fell from Greed's eyes. He looked at the starry sky, and a feeling of having survived a disaster rose in his heart. However, almost as soon as this feeling appeared, he saw a long arc of light that seemed to be burning in the distance as it charged over. Wang Lin? Wang Lin! The greedy wolf was startled for a moment and almost couldn't believe his eyes. However, after taking a closer look, he immediately screamed in horror. You still won't let me go? I came here and you actually appeared again, you. The greedy wolf's face immediately turned pale and he subconsciously retreated. Wang Lin's body landed on the altar and he staggered and coughed out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, Wang Lin also saw the greedy wolf that had suddenly appeared. He ignored this person and turned to look into the distance. The stars in the distance burned as 9 giant firebirds formed suns. Behind the suns was the 7-colored Taoist, filled with killing intent. Every step he took caused the stars to tremble. It was terrifying to the extreme. The greedy wolf's expression changed once more. His eyes almost bulged out and his mind trembled as he retreated. The 7-colored Taoist's strength made him feel like he was about to die. This Wang Lin actually provoked such a terrifying person. Who is this person? The greedy wolf's body trembled, and he was about to return to the beast farm realm. In his view, the outside world was too dangerous, and it was safer to go back and tell stories to the little ancestors. However, just at this moment, the 7-colored Taoist raised his right hand and pointed at the altar where Wang Lin was. Is this the place where you escaped to? Then let me refine it here. The 7-colored Taoist pointed and the 9 suns rumbled toward Wang Lin. A heat wave spread out and burned everything. Wang Lin sat on the altar and stared at the 9 suns. He didn't know where the life force was, but he saw the arm on the altar. This arm gave off an ancient aura, and Wang Lin immediately recognized it as Yimo's arm. Could this arm be where the life force is? Wang Lin didn't hesitate and didn't even have time to look around. He raised his right hand and pressed down on the arm. If it was anyone else without an ancient inheritance, it would be impossible to fuse with this arm. However, Wang Lin was different. He had the authentic Dao Ji inheritance. The moment he pressed down on the arm shined brightly and shrouded his body. At the same time, the greedy wolf screamed inside the heat wave. Half of his body had entered the rift, but he didn't have enough time to enter completely. 1,000 years, 3,000 years, 10,000 years, I've been telling stories for 10,000 years. 2 little ancestors, save me! Just as the greedy wolf roared in fear, he felt 2 small hands press down on his back. At the same time, a powerful cultivation that almost suffocated him entered his body from the 2 small hands. This cultivation base power caused Greed's body to emit a boundless golden light. The golden light spread out, and Greed's hands rose up into the air. His fingers spread out in front of him, forming a circular pattern. The moment the circle appeared, a golden sun appeared in the greedy wolf's hands. This golden sun was only the size of the 2 hands, but the power inside it shook the entire star system, the Cloud Sea, the Summoned River, and the other 3 star systems. It even shook the Outer Realm and the ancient star system. If this was it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but something even more terrifying was yet to come. The 3rd chapter. I'm writing the 4th chapter. I'm not fast, so please be patient. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.